A young man slowly peeled his eyes open, and immediately his brain filed a formal complaint. He was in a strange, messy room that looked like it had been hit by a small, very aggressive tornado. He sat up in bed, which was a mistake, as his head felt like a drum solo was happening inside it. He had absolutely zero recollection of the night before, which was concerning, because usually, he at least remembered deciding to make poor life choices. He looked around and realized he was in a hotel room. How very classy of past him. Then the real plot twist hit him. He wasn't alone. A stunningly gorgeous woman was sleeping peacefully next to him, looking like she just stepped out of a shampoo commercial, which felt highly unfair given his own appearance probably resembled a startled hedgehog. Just then his phone buzzed with a notification from someone named Zoya, and like a horror movie flashback, it all came rushing back. The texts were aggressive, a full-on digital assault demanding to know where he was. He remembered Zoya. She was the ex who dumped him right after their first year of college and then immediately blocked him on everything, basically yeeting him out of her digital universe. So why was she now acting like they were still together and he had just forgot to pick up milk? To clear his foggy head, he checked his phone's calendar. Seeing the date, October 8th, hit him harder than his hangover. He had somehow impossibly traveled back in time. He recalled her dumping him, saying she found someone who truly loved her, and then he saw the memory of her with an older man telling him to get lost. Back then, young and dumb, he swore he'd love her forever, a promise that aged about as well as milk left in the sun. Now in this new present, he read her first message, and surprise, surprise, it was a request for money. A slow, knowing smirk spread across his face. Love had made him blind, but now he could see she was basically a walking, talking red flag with a Cash App request. Determined to change his future, he sent a message to Zio Jia, his current girlfriend, ending things for good. On the other end, the girl flew into a rage, her texts practically screaming, asking if he was serious. He replied, cool as a cucumber, that they should go their separate ways. She fired back a classic, you better not regret it. He just laughed, because honestly, the only thing he'd regret was not doing this sooner. And then a freaking blue screen popped up out of nowhere, like a Windows update from the Matrix, congratulating him on activating a tycoon system. He was completely shocked, but in a good way. This was it, his life was finally getting a software update. The screen showed his stats and told him he would now earn money every single second, which got him very excited because who doesn't love passive income? Right after that, the system handed him a starter pack, which he accepted without thinking twice, because who says no to a mystery box? He instantly received 10 million in cash, a supercar, a shopping cart, and something called a friendship scanner. After checking his bank account and seeing the very real, very large transfer, he wondered what the scanner was for. Just then, the gorgeous woman beside him muttered something in her sleep, which caught his attention. He got an idea and decided to test his new gadget on her, pointing it in her direction like a weird, high-tech detective. The screen showed the woman's stats, but he was confused by a privacy attribute. He tapped on it curiously, and the system explained it was in very blunt terms the number of partners she had. He realized the number 1 meant he was the very first man in Yushi's life. Whoa. He then remembered that in his past life, after the whole ex-drama, he went to a bar to drown his sorrows and met her there by chance. He recalled finding her drinking alone, looking very upset about something. Their night together wasn't about love. It was just two heartbroken people sharing a bottle and a bed. In that moment of reflection, the beautiful woman beside him finally woke up with a start. She watched him for a second, saw the thoughtful look on his face, and called him a Casanova for sighing and smiling like that. He just stared back with a confident smirk. He leaned in and denied he was thinking about the past, which of course only made her more curious. Then he whispered that his only regret was not meeting her sooner, leaving her completely flustered, her brain short-circuiting like a toaster in a bathtub. Because of his boldness, the system immediately rewarded him with a card and a skill called God-tier tongue technique. He thought that with this new skill, he could take the girl to heaven in an instant, which sounded like a solid plan. He activated his new technique and kissed her in a way she had never felt before, leaving her stunned because the sensation was totally different and way better than the last time. He told her this was just the beginning, and the two of them spent the rest of the night, enjoying the moment, shall we say. The next morning he woke up, stretched like a happy cat, and noticed a stack of cash sitting next to him on the bed. He was completely confused. Did Yushi think he was some kind of escort? He picked up the note and saw it was a payment of 10,000 yuan, which honestly was a bit insulting. He found the girl interesting for paying him, but he regretted not getting her contact information. Then he focused on the card, wondering how it worked, and the system explained it was a cashback multiplier for money spent. Cha-ching. With this power in his hands, he was determined not to waste this chance and to become a famous tycoon. He realized that in this timeline, several major tech companies hadn't even been founded yet, making it the perfect opportunity for him to be the smartest guy in the room. His plan now was to save enough money to buy tons of shares in these future tech giants. Holding the car key, he thought about how the city had no limits on real estate purchases, which was perfect. Suddenly, a beautiful woman approached his car, and he thought about using his cards to buy some properties. The woman sat on the hood of his yellow car, because that's what you do to a stranger's supercar, apparently, and with a smile asked if the vehicle belonged to him. He calmly confirmed it was his and asked what she wanted. She asked for a ride, claiming a pipe burst in her house. Suspicious of her story, he activated his scanner to check the information on the girl named Chen Li. He was surprised by her high friendship level, but her privacy attribute of 28 partners set off alarm bells louder than a fire station on a Saturday night. Inside the car, he turned down her request for a ride, saying that being with 28 other people was a bit much for him. He drove off, leaving the woman in shock and wondering how he knew about her past. She commented on how handsome he was while an old man stood there, completely lost. The old man, ever the gentleman, offered to help the woman with her pipes, saying he had been a professional for 30 years. The woman got annoyed and immediately called him a pervert and a creep. The old guy was confused because his plumbing technique was top-notch, and he didn't get why she was yelling at him. Disgusted, she told him to get lost while he followed her, and the people around them started laughing at the scene. Just then, another man explained to the old-timer that her pipes weren't exactly literal. Surprised by the revelation, he commented on how weird kids were these days. The woman stormed off, running away and complaining about her bad luck and how everything went wrong that day. Meanwhile, our main character arrived at a real estate agency and was greeted by two agents, a newbie and her boss. The manager, judging a book by its cover, thought he was just some rich kid and passed him off to the newbie, Ziosa, so he wouldn't waste his time. With an air of confidence, he stepped out of his sports car and walked toward the agency. The boss encouraged the newbie to go it alone, telling her to just follow the procedure they practiced. The young agent nervously approached him and introduced herself as Zio Shia from the Lianji Real Estate Agency. He just asked her to help him find a house, and she nervously asked about his budget. From a distance, the manager smoked a cigarette and thought the newbie needed to learn how to pick her clients better, probably expecting her to show him shoebox apartments. Inside the agency, she showed him some cheap options, but he asked to see properties in the 1 million yuan range. She was surprised by the amount, but agreed to look them up on her tablet immediately. After a few minutes, she remembered to ask if he had any location preferences. He asked for places that were easy to rent out and said it didn't matter if they were furnished or not. He watched her and thought she was pretty inexperienced, but at least she was sincere, and decided to use his scanner on her. She showed him a few options near a commercial street with varying prices. He remembered that his starter card had a 1 million yuan limit, so he couldn't go over that amount for each one. She asked if he was not satisfied, but he was just thinking about how to maximize the bonus from his card. He asked if the price of the more expensive houses could be negotiated, because if so, he would take all 5. He doubled down, saying that if he could get each one for 1 million, he would pay for it all in cash, leaving her totally shocked. He confirmed the payment and added that he would hire her to manage the rentals for the properties. She was ecstatic about the huge commission she was about to make and promised to get him that price. The manager overheard everything and bitterly regretted misjudging the client, wanting to slap himself for his epic fail. An hour later, the manager, now in a suit and probably sweating bullets, presented the final contract with a total price of 5 million yuan. He signed the contract, saying he trusted her and that he would contact her for future purchases. She was thrilled with her commission and wondered what kind of tycoon he was to already be talking about buying more. The system showed that he received 230 million back from his 5 purchases. With that, his system leveled up, and he started earning almost 1 yuan per second, which is a weirdly specific but satisfying amount. He thought the agent was his lucky star and that he was going to make the most of this new life. He called the woman over to a corner, making her manager very curious. The boss said she should invite the client to dinner as a way of saying thank you. He then promised that if she stuck with him, she would live a life of incredible luxury and comfort. Not knowing what to say, she was completely embarrassed by his bold proposal. She tried to politely decline, but he cut her off and asked for her bank account number. Surprised by the request, she asked why he wanted to transfer money to her. He just said she was his lucky star and that this was a little something to thank her for everything. She was completely lost, having no idea what he was talking about, and just stared at him confused. A few minutes later, she got the notification and was shocked by the amount he transferred. He smiled because to him, that amount was pocket change compared to what he earned with her help. With that, her friendship level with him skyrocketed, and she invited him to dinner as a thank you. He thought about how useful money was for boosting friendship, and how he loved watching the numbers go up. They added each other on WeChat, and she noticed how handsome and attractive he was. This led her to fantasize about a more intimate scene, and she thought she wouldn't mind if it happened, but he just thanked her for her work and said his goodbyes, telling her he was leaving, which caught her by surprise. Not believing what she just heard, she ran after him, desperately calling his name. Already inside his sports car, he smiled and waved goodbye to her one more time. 20 minutes later, he got home and announced his arrival to his mom, who was waiting for him. His mother greeted him with some cold watermelon, because moms are the best, while his dad asked about his graduation trip. He said he planned to go to Madu, because he wanted to check out the area around the university he would be attending. His dad agreed with the decision and asked his mom to transfer the travel money to their son. His mom joked that spoiling him so much would make it harder for him to find a wife in the future. He asked her not to bring that up and thought to himself that he would not let them down like he did in his past life. The next day, he was already on the plane, complaining about having bought the ticket at the last minute. Trying to squeeze through the narrow aisle, he politely asked the other people for some room. He spotted a familiar woman and called out to her. She recognized him immediately. He confirmed that this was his seat, and coincidentally, she said hers was right there too. She thanked him as she squeezed past him to get to her window seat. A guy in glasses popped up out of nowhere, like a creepy jack-in-the-box, and tried to flirt with her, butting into their conversation. Paying no mind to the intruder, he asked the girl to take the inner seat. The stranger complained, saying they couldn't just switch seats on the plane like that. He cut him off, saying they were together, and how they sat was none of his business. Once they were seated, the nosy guy ignored the warning and asked the woman what she was doing in Madu. She replied that she was going for work and then turned to him and asked the same question. He said he was bored at home, so he decided to take a vacation to relax. The guy in glasses introduced himself as Chuan Shen and said he was also traveling to Madu. He offered to give her a ride, bragging that his dad sent a car to pick him up. He declined the offer, saying their hotel also had an airport pickup service. The guy asked which hotel they were staying at and he replied, Aminian. The intruder was stunned and repeated the name of the ultra-luxury hotel that cost billions to build. He doubted it because he stayed there before and knew a cheaper room didn't come with that service, but he said he booked a villa. The intruder was in disbelief at the answer and asked if he was serious about the villa. The woman commented that a single night cost 80,000 and was surprised to learn he was a rich kid. With a smile, he said she was a rich kid too, so she had no room to talk. He remembered that she was the school belle and came from a very famous wealthy family in town. Back then, she was so quiet and focused on her studies that no guy dared to approach her. He was focused on his ex-girlfriend at the time, but heard that her family ran into some financial trouble. In the present, she said with a sad look that she wasn't really a rich kid anymore. He realized he hit a sore spot and quickly tried to change the subject to lighten the mood. To break the awkward tension, they started talking about the good old days in high school. She laughed a little and agreed that their high school days were really fun. With that, he thought he finally broke the ice and decided to use his system on her again. The system screen showed that her privacy was 0 and her friendship had climbed to 75. He wondered if she was already paying attention to him back then, since her friendship level was so high, because apparently, he was the oblivious one in high school. After landing, a beautiful woman in a suit introduced herself as his private butler, Wang Yoyan. He was quite impressed with her professionalism, as you would expect from a place like that. He asked where Joy Ying was staying, and she said at a friend's house in Puong. With that, he insisted on giving her a ride and asked his butler to take her to her destination first. From a distance, the guy in glasses watched everything and thought about saving the girl to have a romantic night with her, because his plan was as transparent as a freshly washed window. 25 minutes later, they arrived, and she thanked him and asked for his contact info to treat him to dinner. He accepted the offer but joked that she better not forget what she promised. They exchanged contacts, and he said goodbye, telling her not to worry about the ride. Half an hour later, he arrived at his villa and thought the stay was worth every penny. The butler informed him that his bath was ready, and he decided to go relax for a bit. Suddenly, she grabbed him from behind, and he jumped, asking what she was doing. She said the service included helping him undress, but he would have to handle his own underwear. Once in the hot springs bath, he watched her and asked her to wait a moment. She explained that scrubbing his back was also part of the service, but she wouldn't be washing him. He enjoyed the moment and thought that up close, she was very attractive, and a special service would be nice. She said she was only doing this because she felt a connection with him and started to take off her clothes. She then invited him to a hotel reception, and he asked what the occasion was for the event happening that night. She explained there was no dress code, and he confirmed he would be participating in the auction that was about to happen. Arriving at the party with his date, he was greeted respectfully by an employee who recognized him as an important guest. She wished him a good night and gave him a smile as he entered the main hall for the event. Inside the hall, the auction was already underway, and an item had just been sold for 5 million. While he scoped out the scene, the auctioneer announced the next item, an extremely rare, famous brand watch that caught everyone's eye. The man explained it was a limited edition with only 10 in the world, and the starting bid would be 15 million yuan. Full of energy, the auctioneer shouted for the bidding to begin, and the crowd got hyped for the competition. He analyzed the watch and remembered that its price was set to skyrocket in the coming years, easily surpassing 25 million. Seeing the chance for a profit, he wasted no time and made the first bid of 15.5 million with his paddle number 35. But another man with paddle number 8 raised it to 16 million, and the bidding heated up with offers climbing quickly. The crowd was stunned by his bids, thinking it was crazy to spend so much money on a watch like that. The auctioneer banged the gavel, selling the item for 18 million, and congratulated buyer number 35 on the win. 2 rich young men approached to introduce themselves, and he said his name was Jiang Cheng as he sized them up. The The blonde guy revealed that bid number 8 was his and asked if Jiang Cheng was a luxury watch expert. He replied that he was no expert and that this was his first time buying a watch. He was just testing the waters. The blonde guy was floored by the price and asked why he had never seen him around before. He explained he just got here yesterday for college. Surprised, the young man said that at 18, he didn't have the guts to do something like that and was seriously impressed. With that, he invited Jiang Cheng to hang out sometime, and he agreed to the proposal from his new acquaintance. The system then notified him of his new level, and he thought about how his annual income now exceeded 300 million. Despite the cash, he knew that for his ambitious plans, this amount was just a drop in the bucket, and he needed more, because apparently, being a multimillionaire isn't what it used to be. Walking down the stairs, he ran into a familiar face and recognized the woman he was with the night before. It was the same woman from the hotel he met at the beginning of the story, and she stared at him, surprised to see him there. She teased him, calling him a kiddo, and said she didn't expect him to be a rich boy, thinking he was just a poor student. She invited him to her villa since the auction was winding down, wanting him to join her for another night together. He accepted the invitation, and she joked that he better put in more effort than last time, turning up the heat. Suddenly, a man appeared and grabbed her by the arm, revealing himself as Jiang Yu, the beautiful woman's ex-fiancé. The guy insisted they were engaged, but she called him crazy for wanting to get married after he cheated on her with her best friend. Jiang Yu ignored the accusation and claimed they had an engagement party, so the wedding was happening one way or another. Disgusted, she accused him of being gross and using her as a front so he could meet his other partners, both men and women. The system gave him two choices: leave with a reward or punch the guy to gain a physical enhancement and a bad luck card. The enhancement improved all his attributes, and without a second thought, he landed a punch on his rival, leaving the woman shocked. He kicked the aggressor on the ground, and she watched the scene, seeming to enjoy his attitude. He stomped on his fallen rival, and her affection level rose while the other guy screamed in pain on the ballroom floor. Desperate, the aggressor started yelling for help, calling for hotel security to rescue him from the situation. Security arrived and tried to de-escalate the fight, but the ex-fiancé yelled at them to arrest him and call the cops. Threatening the staff, he said he was going to call the police and file a complaint to get them all fired. She told him not to worry, as she would say he was defending her from harassment. The ex-fiancé boasted that the security cameras recorded everything and that they were all finished because of it. Suddenly, a man with a knife burst in, and panic spread as people screamed, terrified by the scene. The intruder grabbed the ex-fiancé and demanded they bring him the couple who betrayed him, or he would take everyone out. Scared for his life, the aggressor yelled for the security guards to find the people the man was looking for to save his own skin, because loyalty clearly wasn't his strong suit. The system gave him a new choice: escape with the girl and get money, or stop the crime and gain a new skill. He decided to act for everyone's safety, and especially for the special technique the system offered as a reward. Before acting, he remembered the item he won earlier and realized the bad luck card could be very useful right now. He activated the enhancement card, and a blue aura completely surrounded him, changing his body. With this, he felt a powerful energy flowing through his entire body. Wasting no time, he dashes at high speed toward the man with the knife, ready for a surprise attack, because apparently, his morning workout routine involved saving rich people from dramatic villains. The young man lands a powerful punch to the aggressor's face, who has no time to react to the swift and precise blow, probably still thinking about his evil monologue. With just one hit, the intruder falls to the floor, knocked out cold, and our hero stands victorious before all the guests, looking like he just posed for a superhero movie poster. The woman is shocked by the scene and thinks that he's not just a rich boy, but a true powerhouse, which is good, because being a rich boy alone doesn't usually win knife fights. The ex-fiancé is also floored by the protagonist's strength and stares at him with a look of pure fear on his face, like a guy who just realized his bluff got called by a nuclear bomb. Our young man then approaches his rival, who is still on the ground, and looks down at him with a confident and intimidating smile, the kind that says, "I just saved the day and you're still a loser." The people in the hall comment on how brave and handsome he was for handling the situation so easily, because nothing says attractive like knocking out a guy with a knife while looking good doing it. The police arrive and arrest the intruder, and one of the officers thanks the protagonist for his help in the commotion, probably glad they didn't have to deal with the paperwork for stabbing. But the ex-fiancé seizes the opportunity to accuse our young man of assault and asks the officer to arrest him immediately, because when you're a scumbag, you just can't help but be a scumbag. The officer then turns to the protagonist and asks if it's true that he hit the other guy there in the hall, doing his best impression of a detective who just walked into a soap opera. The woman interrupts the conversation and explains to the officer that her ex-fiancé was trying to trick her into a forced marriage, which is basically the oldest plot in the villain playbook. With that, her affection level for him jumps to 90, and he realizes the young woman is truly falling for him, probably thinking, Step 1, stop knife attack. Step 2, win heart. Step 3, breakfast. He hugs her to comfort her and says he'll never let a scumbag like that intimidate her ever again, which is sweet, even if it sounds like a line from a bad romance novel. The officer tries to calm the situation, but the rival screams, demanding the security footage to prove his innocence, because apparently he thinks cameras will show him being less of a jerk. Injured, the protagonist decides it's time to test the system's bad luck card on this clueless guy who showed up, because why use fists when you can use cosmic misfortune? He then activates the item, and an aura of misfortune surrounds the ex-fiancé, who has no idea what's happening, but he's about to find out that karma is a system with a bad luck card. Right after, the guy gets a call from the bank about a suspicious withdrawal of $200,000 from his account, which is never a good start to your day, unless you're the one who stole it. While he's on the phone, a woman runs up and tells him a tree fell on his car, leaving him in a panic, because apparently, the universe decided to use him as a punching bag. The officer asks if he needs help, but the man runs off, saying he doesn't have time to deal with this right now, probably off to find a tree surgeon and a banker who speaks fraud. Our young man says he got what was coming to him, and invites the woman to leave that chaotic place together, because who wants to stick around when the universe is throwing a tantrum at someone else? 5 minutes later in the room, she approaches him worriedly and asks if he's okay or if he got hurt in the fight, because she's sweet like that. With a smile, he replies that a loser of that caliber could never really hurt him, which is true, but also a great way to sound cool. Even so, she insists on checking for herself to make sure he didn't suffer any serious injuries, which is either concern or an excuse to get handsy, but we'll go with concern. The woman asks if he's going to look down on her for having a fiancé like that, but the guy reassures her about it, because he's not the type to judge someone for having a terrible ex. That's basically a hobby for some people. She explains that the engagement was arranged by her grandfather, and that she only found out about his cheating with her best friend later, which is like finding out your favorite restaurant has a rat problem. Devastating and gross. He consoles her, saying she's been through a lot, but now he's there to take care of her and protect her, which is a very noble thing to say while probably thinking about that massage he was promised. The young woman asks if he minds maintaining this type of relationship, thinking it's easier than a serious romance, because apparently, modern dating has evolved into, let's just skip the complicated part. The protagonist hugs her and assures her that he doesn't mind and that he'll treat her well from that special moment on, which is code for, let's enjoy the night and see what happens. The two then enjoy the night together, and the moment seems to be quite intense for the beautiful woman accompanying him, because when you combine a hero, a villain, and a hotel room, things tend to get spicy. The next morning, two maids are tidying the room, and one of them comments on the stamina of young people these days, because apparently, the sheets told a story. The other lady jokes that she wouldn't be able to work if her husband were like that, and they comment with envy about the young man, because who doesn't want a partner with that kind of energy? Later, at a coffee shop, the protagonist and the woman are having breakfast while he casually scrolls on his phone, because even after a heroic night, you still need to check social media. On the screen, he sees a post from a classmate showing off an expensive watch he got from his mom as a coming-of-age gift, because nothing says I'm an adult like a luxury timepiece from mommy. Our young man then gets an idea and asks if he can borrow her legs for a celebratory photo, which is either the weirdest request ever or genius-level trolling. She asks if it's his birthday, but he explains he wants to post a gift that's different from what his other classmates are showing off, because when everyone else has a watch, you need to up the game. The woman agrees to the prank and calls him a brat as she agrees to participate in the unusual photo he requested, because honestly, what else is she going to do? She strikes a daring pose, lifting her legs so he can take the picture for his social media, probably thinking, my mother would kill me if she saw this. She then takes off her shoes and continues to pose for our guy's camera, who is having fun with the scene, because this is way better than a boring watch selfie. He takes the picture, thinking that his 18th birthday present isn't a car, but it's faster than a supercar, which is both clever and a little bit dirty, but we'll let it slide. The result is a photo collage that he posts on his social media for all his friends to see the news, and honestly, it's the most memorable 18th birthday post ever. His classmates are shocked and envious of the post while lamenting their own boring gifts, because a watch from mom just doesn't compare to, well, that. Shortly after, the protagonist arrives at a luxury car dealership, and a saleswoman greets him at the entrance, probably sizing him up like, can this kid afford a keychain, let alone a car? She offers to give him a tour, and our young man follows her to check out the car models available in the store, because window shopping is fun when you can actually buy. Inside the dealership, he sees an older man offering a car to a beautiful woman who seems uncomfortable with the situation, which is basically every creepy rich guy move in the book. The bald old guy insists he'll drive her home every day, and that's why she needs a good car, all while trying to touch her, because apparently, consent is just a suggestion to some people. Our young man watches the scene from a distance, and thinks that he came to the dealership to see cars, but ended up watching a soap opera, which is honestly more entertaining. He then recognizes the woman as Suan, a future famous actress known as one of the four little flowers of the industry, because in this world, everyone is either famous or about to be. The MC remembers that her fame began with an iconic photo where she was getting out of a pool, which went viral online, proving that sometimes, all you need is water and good lighting. Back in the present, the businessman pressures her to go for a drink, but she refuses, saying she has a meeting at her company, which is the oldest excuse in the book, but at least it's professional. The old man gets furious and threatens the girl, telling her not to push her luck or the investment in her project will be cancelled, because when you can't buy someone's affection, you try to buy their career. He tells her to stop pretending and accept the offer, or else he'll use his influence to get her blacklisted, which is basically the villain version of "I'll tell mom." However, the actress isn't intimidated and says her answer is no, regardless of whether he invests or not, and that he can do whatever he wants because she's got backbone, and that's rare in this industry. At that moment, a blue screen appears in front of the MC, and the system activates a special mission for him to solve the problem, because apparently his side quests now include save damsel in distress from creepy producer. The mission is to help Suan and sign a contract with her, which is convenient because he was looking for a reason to talk to her anyway. So he thinks he needs to prove he has the money to convince her, because in this world, money talks and everything else walks. To get attention, he approaches the saleswoman and asks in a loud voice about the conditions for buying a LaFerrari, because why start small when you can go straight to the top? The woman explains that the model is a limited edition, and that the customer needs to own 5 cars from the brand to be an eligible buyer, which is basically car snobbery at its finest. With a smile, our young man asks if she's saying he isn't qualified to buy the supercar, and you can almost hear the challenge in his voice. The saleswoman then says it's not entirely impossible, and the guy, curious, asks how he could get the vehicle, because where there's a will and a lot of money, there's a way. The bald old guy gets suspicious, wondering which family the young man belongs to, and decides to see if he's just bluffing about the purchase, because old rich guys hate being upstaged by young rich guys. The actress is shocked because not even a big shot would buy a $3 million car, and the protagonist wants the most expensive one in cash, which is either insane or incredibly baller. The saleswoman then warns that with customizations, the price of the car could reach 50 million yuan, and she says this like it's a bad thing, but to our guy, it's just Tuesday. With a smile, he says he knows the price and that it's acceptable, because when you have a system that prints money, 50 million is pocket change. So the employee goes to get her manager to close the deal, probably running faster than she's ever run in her life. Soon, the manager arrives with a young blonde man from the auction who recognizes the MC and greets him excitedly in the store, because apparently, rich people all know each other. He explains that he just arrived in the city, and since he's not used to being without a car, he decided to buy one casually, which is the most rich person thing to say since I'm bored, let's buy an island. His blonde friend is surprised by the answer and says that this is a whole new level of humble bragging, because saying, I casually bought a car, while dropping 50 million is peak modesty. With that, the blonde guy points to the $18 million watch on the MC's wrist and tells the manager he has a huge sale on his hands, because that watch is basically a neon sign that says, I have money to burn. Our young man stands there with a confident pose while showing off his expensive watch to everyone in the dealership, because if you've got it, flaunt it, right? The manager is stunned by the value of the accessory and realizes that this young man is an extremely wealthy client, probably calculating his commission in his head. The man says the credit check is just a formality and begins the car registration process for the young man, because when you wear a watch worth more than most houses, credit checks are just for show. The actress and the old man watch the scene while the blonde guy thinks that he's never seen an heir as rich as Jiang Chen, which is a pretty big compliment in rich people circles. The blonde guy then calculates that the protagonist's fortune must easily exceed 100 million yuan, which is cute because he has no idea about the system. The bald old guy loses interest in the car and insists that the woman go for a drink with him, but she refuses because she has a meeting, still holding that line like a pro. Angrily, the man gives the actress an ultimatum. Either she goes with him or she can forget her career, and he storms off furiously because nothing says I'm a mature adult like threatening someone's livelihood. The protagonist then calls the actress by her name, and she turns around, surprised, asking if he's talking to her, because famous people aren't used to strangers knowing their name, unless it's a fan. He introduces himself as Jiang Changjin and says he'll invest in her project since the other guy backed out of the proposal, because he's basically a knight in shining armor, but with a better car. The woman is shocked and asks if it's true, thinking that he's on another level and could save her from her problem, which he absolutely can. The MC says he has other plans and that they can talk tomorrow, so she asks for his contact info to arrange the meeting, because this is 2026 and that's how business works. The two exchange contact information on their phones, and she says goodbye, telling him she'll see him the next day for the meeting, probably walking on clouds. The young man asks the manager when he can pick up the car, and the man replies that it will take a waiting period of at least a year, because apparently, even with money, you can't rush perfection. Our young man is disappointed with the delay and thinks of an alternative to get a car faster than that, because waiting a year is for people who don't have a system. His blonde friend invites him to a car show in a few days where he can get one on the spot, and he accepts, because that's the kind of networking that pays off. Sometime later, he arrives at a fancy restaurant, and the blonde woman calls him to her table, waving him over like she's been waiting all day. The blonde guides him by the hand and recommends the crab roe rice dish, which is the house specialty, because when you're at a fancy place, you eat fancy things. At the table, several sophisticated dishes are served, and the atmosphere between the two seems very intimate and special, the kind of vibe that says this is going somewhere. He leans in close to her and whispers in her ear that he's only interested in having a special night with her, which is both forward and honestly refreshing. The next morning, she asks him to let her rest because the previous night was quite eventful for both of them, which is the polite way of saying you wore me out. The MC says he can do that, but only if she calls him by a more affectionate nickname than before, because apparently, he's collecting pet names like Pocket. She then calls him hubby and gives him a kiss, and satisfied with the nickname, he lets her rest a little longer because he's a gentleman, even if he's a demanding one. With a cute little face, she compliments him and says he's the best for being so considerate of her, which is sweet, even if she's just buttering him up for later. He then asks if she knows Suan, and the blonde confirms that the actress works for the same company she does, because of course, in this world, everyone is connected. She then asks with a slightly sad look in her eyes if the protagonist is really falling for the other woman, because jealousy is a thing, even in casual relationships. The MC explains that it's not exactly falling for, but that he saw a lot of potential in the actress during their encounter at the car dealership, which is the business-friendly way of saying she's hot and famous. The blonde agrees, saying the company doesn't value her enough, but she has the talent to go far in her career, because even competitors can recognize talent. With that, she offers to help him get closer to the actress and says he can come to her whenever he wants, which is either generous or strategic, but will take it. He calls her silly and assures her that he will treat all of his women well, because when you're a tycoon, you have to manage expectations. So she asks about the investment in the actress, and our young man confirms his intention, but she warns him that to hire Suan, he'll have to open a company and buy out her contract, because nothing worth having comes easy. The MC tells her not to worry, and that he'll put her in charge of the new company with shares and everything, because why not add CEO to his list of titles? She refuses the shares, saying a good salary is enough, and thinks this will boost her career, because sometimes it's not about the money, it's about the opportunity. He gently scolds her, saying there's no need for such formality between them since they're already very close, which is code for we slept together, so let's be business partners. She then moves closer to him and touches his face affectionately, because intimacy builds trust, or at least it should. With tears in her eyes, she confesses that before him, her life felt meaningless, and only now does she feel alive, which is either incredibly romantic or slightly concerning, but he'll take it. While hugging her, he receives a message from the actress asking for the time and place of their meeting, because apparently his phone is the command center for his love life. The next day, with a smile on his face, he thinks that the big star seems to be in quite a hurry to close the deal, because who wouldn't be eager to sign with a mysterious rich guy? Our guy pulls up for the meeting, and the actress greets him, probably wondering if this is a business meeting or a date. She gets in the car and asks where they're headed, and he replies, a luxury hotel for the meeting, because when you're a tycoon, you don't do coffee shops. Once there, she asks about the drama, and he's told it's a small project with a limited budget, which is code for we're making something on a shoestring. Our guy's enthusiasm completely deflates when he hears the low figure of 5 million, and he questions the quality a project like that could possibly have, because 5 million is lunch money to him. So the actress tries to win him over, saying the plot is good and it's a fast turnaround, and she pulls out a script, because that's what actors do. Our boy waves off the script, saying he only cares about investing, because scripts are for people who read and he's a man of action. He then offers to wire the money right then and there, and she's floored, having never seen an investor like him, because usually investors want meetings, not instant transfer. But there's a catch. The young man lays down one condition. She needs to sign with his company as an artist, because why invest in someone else's project when you can own the talent? The actress points out she's already under contract and breaking it would be expensive, which is true, but our guy says that's not a problem, because money is just a number to him. The woman thinks he's handsome but is suspicious of his intentions, wondering if she should accept the offer, because when a rich, handsome guy offers you a deal, you have to ask, what's the catch? This, the actress asks if he even has an entertainment company, and our young man replies that he'll create one if she agrees, because that's how confident he is. He says he knows her current company doesn't value her, so he'll pay the termination fee, and the new agency will be all about her, which is basically every actor's dream. Her friendship level jumps to 50, and she shyly asks if he has any special requirements, because in this industry, special requirements usually mean trouble. He says she needs to be a proper artist without any improper contact with others, but makes an exception for himself, because he's nothing if not honest about his intentions. Her friendship shoots up to 60, and she asks when they can sign, because at this point, she's sold. Our guy tells her to call him boss because he's earned that title. Curious, she asks how old he is, and the actress teases him about his age, questioning if he shouldn't be 18 instead of 20 since he's so young, which is a backhanded compliment if ever there was one. Our guy smirks and says he was thinking of something else, so she calls him a little devil because he's earned that too. After the food arrives, she thanks him for his help, but he says the only thanks he needs is for her to become a star, because that's the ultimate return on investment. Just then, the system notifies him that he secured the contract and earned 20% of a company's shares, because the system loves rewarding good deeds. While eating, he thinks about telling his parents about his newfound wealth so they don't freak out when he comes home, because showing up with a $50 million car might require some explanation. So he calls his dad, who congratulates him on his sharp eye for investments and the company's quick success, because apparently his dad is also in on the secret. His dad calculates his annual income, and his mom jokes that he's been bragging to his friends about his son's success, because moms love to show off. Our young man asks if they want any gifts, but his dad tells him to stay humble and not get carried away, because good parents keep you grounded. Ending the call, he invites her to do some shopping, and she accepts, playfully calling him her sugar daddy, because why not embrace the dynamic? After finishing their meal, she wipes her mouth, and our boy confirms they can head to the mall, because shopping is the next logical step. They arrive at a super expensive watch store, where an employee greets them at the entrance, leaving the actress completely stunned, because this is the kind of store where you need a loan just to look at the displays. Inside, she spots a familiar face and greets a senior actress named Linru, who's with an older man, because in this industry, you're never alone. The actress asks what she's doing there, and Linru hesitates a bit but says she's just accompanying a friend, which is code for "I'm here with my sugar daddy." The older man comments that the young guy is talented and handsome, and the system analyzes him, showing his stats, because the system is basically a gossip columnist at this point. The old man then asks who the boy is, and the veteran actress explains that he was in one of her old dramas, because everyone's connected in showbiz. The extra then introduces himself as a film investor and offers his card to the actress with our guy, because networking never stops. The veteran actress scoffs internally, thinking the other girl isn't on her level, because seniority means everything in this business. Holding the card, the young woman reflects on how the industry is full of fake friends just looking to take advantage, which is a sad but true realization. A salesperson asks our boy which watch he's looking for, and he says he hasn't seen anything interesting yet, because when you're rich, you're hard to impress. Our guy then asks for models starting at $500,000, saying the cheaper ones aren't good enough for his mom, because his mom deserves the best, obviously. At this, the veteran actress is floored by the price, thinking about how long it would take a normal person to earn that much, which is forever, basically. The actress sits down and pretends to read a magazine, but she's secretly enjoying watching the other woman get put in her place by our guy, because schadenfreude is real. He walks over to her and asks if she's found a watch she likes, but the girl says she's just browsing since she can't afford them, because honesty is refreshing. Suddenly, the system gives our young man a random task: gift the actress a watch to strengthen their relationship, so he tells her to pick anyone she wants, because the system is basically his wingman. She politely turns down the offer, saying she'll buy her own accessory when she can afford it, because she's got pride. Watching from afar, the veteran actress thinks they're just putting on a show and plans to embarrass them, because that's what bitter people do. The salesperson brings out a selection of expensive watches for our guy and helps him try on the models, because customer service is everything. As soon as one of the watches is on our young man's wrist, it practically glows, and the employee compliments how great it looks, because it's a $50,000 watch, it better look good. The protagonist then asks the girl for her opinion, and she agrees the watch looks amazing on him, because honesty is still a thing. He mentions it's a bit loose, so the actress offers to tighten it on his wrist, leading him to make a pretty cheeky comment, because he can't help himself. The actress gets flustered by his comment, and her friendship level climbs to 70 thanks to our young man's flirting, because apparently cheeky comments work. Our young man wonders about the friendship increase, then stands up and tells the salesperson to wrap up both watches for him, because why buy one when you can buy two? Completely stunned, the store employee asks if our protagonist really wants to buy both luxury watches, because that's not a normal Tuesday. At this, the veteran and the older man are in total shock over the $2 million purchase, questioning if he's just showing off, because that's what poor people say when they see rich people spend. Our guy then asks the actress for help picking a watch for his mom, and the girl points to a very elegant model, because she's got taste. With that, the salesperson praises her choice and details the prices of the watches, which cost over $800,000 each, because elegance isn't cheap. He then asks the girl to try on the accessories so he can see how it looks on her wrist, because he's nothing if not thorough. Our young man remarks that the watches are way better than the cheap model on the woman behind them, who gets furious when she hears it, because that's a direct hit. Ignoring their reaction, our boy asks to have all 4 watches wrapped up and hands over his card for payment, because he's on a roll. Right after paying, the girl gets ready to take off the watch she tried on to give it back to the salesperson, but our guy grabs her hand and tells her she doesn't have to, because that accessory is now a gift for her, because he's smooth like that. Completely embarrassed, the actress refuses the gift, saying it's way too expensive for her to accept because she's not used to this level of generosity. He insists, saying it's just a little something and that it's already paid for, so there's no returning it, which is technically true. The girl still tries to refuse, but he explains that the watch doesn't suit his mom and that it's a welcome gift because he's got an excuse for everything. Our young man then gives her a serious look and asks if she's trying to disrespect him in front of everyone, which is a power move if ever there was one. Realizing he's her future boss, she accepts the gift, and her friendship level rises to 75, because who can say no to a boss like that? The salesperson then hands over the receipt for over $4 million and also offers them a special gift from the store, because when you spend that much, you get free stuff. At that moment, the veteran actress is fuming, wondering how a rookie could get a watch more expensive than hers, because jealousy is a bitter pill. She then asks about her gift, but the salesperson says that unfortunately there isn't one available for her, because Karma is a salesperson. With that, the older man gets furious that his plans are ruined and storms out of the store, annoyed with the whole thing, because his date is now a disaster. The salesperson then asks the veteran if she still wants the watch, but the woman, embarrassed, refuses and leaves because her pride won't let her stay. Just then, the system announces the mission was a success and offers a random cashback reward to our guy, because the system loves a winner. He accepts immediately, and the system congratulates him on getting a return of $13,165,000, which is a pretty sweet return on investment. He then checks his phone, confirms the transfer, and with a profit of $8 million, decides to buy more gifts, because why stop now? They arrive at a handbag store, and our boy asks which model she wants, but the girl shyly refuses the gift because she's still not used to this. Ignoring her refusal, he asks the saleswoman for the most popular models, and the woman shows him 2 bags because that's her job. Our guy then asks her to run his card and buys both luxury bags for the actress without even hesitating, because he's on a shopping spree. The saleswoman informs him the total is $120,000 and tells him he's now a store member with access to future events, because spending that much gets you perks. Seeing him spend so much money, the girl is impressed by the power and generosity of her new boss, because who wouldn't be? After shopping, she thanks him and invites him up to her apartment for a drink, as a way of showing her gratitude, because that's what you do when someone buys you a small fortune in gifts. He jokes that he needs to protect himself because if he gets tipsy, she might take advantage of him, which makes the girl blush because he's cheeky and she knows it. Our young man says he's just kidding, says goodbye, thanks her for the company, and leaves the actress behind because he's a gentleman even if he's a teasing one. She watches his car drive away, thinking that he's actually a good guy, and her friendship level climbs to 80, because absence makes the heart grow fonder. With the friendship at 80, our guy thinks he's close to winning her over, and that with just a little more effort, she'll fall for him, because the system said so. While driving, our boy smiles confidently, thinking that soon the actress will be all his, because he's got a plan and a system. Half an hour later, he arrives at the luxury villa, where the manager greets him, letting him know his bath is already drawn, because that's the kind of service you get when you're rich. The woman watches him in the pool and thinks she needs to provide excellent service for such an important client, because tips are probably insane. Relaxing in the water, our young man asks the manager if they have any special expensive dishes on the menu, because why eat normal food when you can eat luxury? The employee then explains that the hotel offers various luxury cuisines like Chinese, French, and Japanese, and she recommends special dishes like yellow croaker and white truffles, which are the house specialties, because when you're rich, you eat rare things. He recognizes the super expensive ingredients and thinks he can finally use an item he got from the system, because the system gives him tools for every occasion. Getting out of the pool, our boy walks up to the girl and asks her to arrange a relaxing massage for him, because after a day of shopping and saving actresses, a guy needs to unwind. The manager agrees right away and says they can go to his room for the massage session to begin, because that's part of the job. Once in the room, the woman prepares to start the massage, while our protagonist lies down on the bed, waiting, probably thinking about how this is the life. With that, the girl gets on the bed and positions herself to start the massage on our young man's back, because professionalism is key. She takes a vial and pours a bit of massage oil into her hands to get started, because you can't have a massage without oil. Our boy is then surprised to realize it's a much more elaborate aromatherapy massage, because this hotel doesn't do anything halfway. The woman says the hotel spa is a specialty and tells him to close his eyes and just relax his body, because that's what massages are for. And so, she begins the massage on his back, and our protagonist seems to be enjoying the moment of relaxation, because who wouldn't? The manager continues with the massage, and our boy gets a little flustered with a seductive look, because apparently massages can be more than just relaxing. The woman seems to be offering a much more special service than he expected, because this hotel really goes above and beyond. At this point, the intensity of the moment ramps up, and our young man starts to pick up on the woman's real intentions, because he's not that clueless. He then wonders if he's overthinking things or if the manager is really offering an extra service, because in his experience, people usually want something. The manager announces the service is over and says she'll pick him up tomorrow for the car event, leaving our guy a bit disappointed as he was expecting more, because when you're teased, you want the payoff. The next day, the car show is packed with various luxury models and tons of important people snapping photos of everything, because rich people love documenting their existence. Our protagonist arrives at the hall and checks out the place alone since his friend had something come up and couldn't make it, because friends are flaky, even rich ones. He thinks the cars are cool, but the prices don't impress him as the most expensive one is only $2,200,000, which is pocket change to him now. Suddenly, our young man spots a familiar group and wonders why all his old classmates are gathered there, because apparently everyone he knows is at this car show. Looking closer, he recognizes someone and discovers that she's working at the event as a car model, because in this world, everyone has a side hustle. The girl looks stunning in her red dress, catching the eye of everyone present with her beauty at the event, because that's what models do. A guy then asks what time she gets off work, but another classmate tells him not to bother her, calling him just a snob because some things never change. The model overhears the conversation but doesn't respond, simply continuing with her job, because professionalism is key, even when your ex-classmates are being annoyed. Our boy then walks up to the guys, who are surprised to see him, probably wondering if he took a wrong turn on his way to the rich people's section. They ask what he's doing at the event, and he questions if they organized some secret outing since nobody invited him to join, because apparently, his social circle still operates like high school cliques. One of the classmates thinks angrily that they left him out of the trip on purpose and didn't expect to run into him, which is awkward. But hey, that's what happens when you're the poor kid who suddenly became rich. The guy with green hair points to another friend and sarcastically says our guy should ask him, because passing the buck is a classic friend move. At this, two girls comment that he's gotten much more handsome, and one even asks if he's had plastic surgery, because apparently glow-ups are suspicious in their world. The green-haired friend hugs him and says, even his voice has changed, which is either a compliment or an accusation of body snatching. Then our boy asks if they're there to buy a car, and one of the female classmates says they're just there to check out the models by the cars, which is the oldest excuse in the book for guys who can't afford anything. Just then, the system displays the girl's stats, and our young man is shocked by her high friendship level and privacy value, because apparently, she's been secretly crushing on him this whole time. He wonders why the friendship is so high since they barely ever talk, but the system doesn't lie, so maybe he's just oblivious. The green-haired friend then interrupts him, asking why he's so lost in thought, probably worried he's having a stroke. The green-haired guy bumps into our guy, who tells him to watch it because personal space is still a thing. The friend asks if he's lost his mind for acting so strange, which is fair because zoning out in the middle of a car show is weird. Ignoring the commotion, our young man approaches the model and gives her a wave, complimenting her beauty and her red dress, because when you see someone stunning, you acknowledge it. The girl smiles and asks if he's at the event too, and our guy says he's just checking out the luxury cars, as if he's just browsing like everyone else. He then turns to his classmates and asks if they're going to buy a car, but the other guy chews him out for the bold comment and starts talking about the car, because some people just can't handle being called out. Our protagonist compliments him on knowing so much about cars, and the classmate explains the model costs over $5 million, as if that's supposed to intimidate someone who just bought a $50 million watch. With a smirk on his face, he provokes the guy, asking if he's going to buy the car since he knows so much about it, which is basically asking, so are you going to put your money where your mouth is? The model then cuts in, telling them to stop because she's working and they can't be making a scene, because professionalism matters, even when your ex-classmates are being idiots. The classmate then uses the situation to his advantage and asks the girl for help choosing a car as a gift for his high test scores, which is the most transparent pickup attempt in history. The girl gets uncomfortable and declines, saying she doesn't know much about cars and suggests he talk to a salesperson, because she's not interested in being part of his scheme. The guy insists on talking to her, and our guy accuses him of using the purchase as an excuse to chat up the girl, because that's exactly what's happening. The classmate challenges him to buy a car, and our young man provokes him by asking if the car comes with the model as a bonus, which is bold but honestly kind of funny. The girl finds the joke funny and comments that he's pretty bold for asking such a direct question in front of everyone, because honesty, even when cheeky, is refreshing. The classmate gets annoyed and tells him to stop showing off since she's working, but our young man says he's serious, because he's always serious when it comes to spending money. At that moment, the event manager notices the commotion and heads over to deal with the problem, because chaos at a car show is bad for business. The manager then approaches and scolds the girl for chatting on the job, and she apologizes immediately, because that's what you do when your boss catches you. The rival then blames him for the scolding and challenges him to buy a car since he's disrupting the model's work, which is the worst logic ever, but okay. Our guy then repeats his question, saying the car looks more attractive with the model next to it, because he's committed to this bit. The manager notices the expensive watch on his wrist and has a change of heart, saying that if he buys the car, the model goes with it, because money talks and watches scream. Without hesitating, our young man pulls out his credit card and tells the manager to run the full purchase price right then and there, because why wait? All the classmates are in shock since the car costs over $8 million, and they can't believe he can afford it all, because in their minds, he's still the poor kid from school. The female classmate in the pink dress is impressed and wonders if he really has $8 million to drop all at once, which is a valid question. The rival then accuses him of lying just to get the girl in trouble, but our boy calls him an idiot for thinking that, because he's holding a credit card that's about to prove him wrong. With a smile, the manager confirms that the sales commission will be credited to the girl, because when you spend that much, everyone wins. With that, her friendship level jumps to 80, and our guy reminds the manager that the model is included in the car purchase because he doesn't forget details. The classmate is furious, thinking he's going to make up an excuse not to buy it, and plans to humiliate him if that happens, because some people just can't accept defeat. Our young man hands over the card and asks if he can take the car today, and the manager invites him to sit down and finalize the deal, because that's how business works. The card machine then approves the transaction, and the payment of over $8 million goes through without a hitch because the system never fails. With the payment complete, the manager smiles and asks the model to take good care of our young man while he handles the paperwork, which is basically code for entertain the rich guy. The rival is stunned to see he actually spent $8 million and realizes he's been completely humiliated in front of everyone, which is probably the worst feeling ever. His classmates' jaws dropped, and the green-haired guy pointed out that our boy was way too low-key in school to be this rich, because apparently he was hiding his superpower. The girl sees her chance to flirt and asks for a ride in his new Ferrari, boosting her friendship stats to 95, because nothing says "I like you" like a luxury car ride. But the other classmate with glasses rains on her parade, reminding her the car only has 2 seats, so there won't be any room because that's what friends with glasses do. The girl in pink then claps back that she can take the passenger seat since the model has to work and sits in cars all day anyway, which is a solid argument, honestly. Sitting down, our hero wonders how the girl's friendship level shot up so fast and thinks to himself that he can't stand gold diggers like her, because he's rich, not stupid. Just then, our guy says the car looks way better with her in it, because he's either flirting or stating facts. The classmate then tries to stir up some drama, asking if his breakup with his ex was because of the model from the event, because some people just love gossip. The girl in the red dress is surprised to hear he ended his relationship, because that's news to her. Our young man then stands up and says the breakup has nothing to do with anyone else, and that the lady is very beautiful, because he's not about to let rumors fly. The green-haired friend is stunned by the $1 million watch and accuses him of pretending to be poor, because that's a thing rich people do, apparently. The protagonist calmly explains that he aced his exam, so his family insisted on getting him a gift, which is either true or a cover story, but either way it works. The rival then gets annoyed and changes the subject, saying it's getting late and they should find a place for dinner, because when you're humiliated, you pivot. The gold-digging girl in pink invites our protagonist to go to the mall with her, because she's not giving up that easily. Our guy politely turns down the invitation, saying he already has plans for the evening, but that they can catch up when they're back in their hometown, because he's not completely shutting her down. The girl in the pink dress accepts his offer and tells him to hit her up as soon as he's back in Ranch King City, because she's persistent. Meanwhile, he says goodbye to the model from the event, telling her he's going to check out some other places, because one car isn't enough. He approaches the model and suggests they hang out some other time since they're classmates, because networking is key. Meanwhile, a saleswoman approaches our young man and asks if he's interested in any other cars, then points to another luxury vehicle, because salespeople know a good customer when they see one. Our guy then pictures a romantic scene inside the car and thinks the vehicle would be a perfect match, because apparently he's also a hopeless romantic. With that in mind, our MC gets thoughtful and carefully weighs his options, because even with money, you have to think about these things. He then asks for the car's price, and the saleswoman reveals it costs $9.5 million, which is basically pocket change at this point. The woman offers 3 years of maintenance, but our young man cuts her off and says he'll take the car, because he doesn't need perks when he has a system. He then asks about a delivery ceremony, and the employee assures him she can arrange a big celebration for him, because that's what rich people expect. Our protagonist declines the ceremony, explaining the car is a gift, so he'll just send the address for the vehicle's delivery, because he's low-key like that. Pink-haired streamer is live streaming and showing off the luxury car to her followers, because content is king. She continues the stream, saying the car is gorgeous and that whoever gives it as a gift will find true love instantly, which is a nice sentiment, even if it's not true. Just then, the woman points to our guy and says she'll interview him live if she gets 3,000 likes on the stream, because engagement is everything. Seeing the streamer just standing there, Another employee approaches and asks if the young lady is placing an order or just browsing, because that's their job. The pink-haired girl awkwardly replies that she just wanted to take a look at the vehicle, which is the universal sign for "I can't afford this." Because of this, the saleswoman asks the streamer for proof of assets to be allowed to stay there, because some stores are snobby like that. The streamer gets annoyed and points to our MC, saying he walked right in without any issues, but the employee insists it's standard procedure, because rules are rules. The streamer is embarrassed as her followers comment that she's being treated poorly and demand that she interview the rich guy, because the internet loves drama. Watching from a distance, the model is shocked to realize our guy spent 20 million in less than half an hour, because that's either insane or incredibly baller. She then reflects that even before her family's incident, they could never spend money so lavishly, because 20 million in half an hour is next level. 2 hours later, our MC stretches as the car's paperwork is all sorted out, because buying cars is exhausting, apparently. A manager hands him the keys and asks about the license plate, so our young man thinks it might be hard to get a special one, because bureaucracy is a thing. Just then, the system pops up and gifts him a custom plate with his initials, and he finds that very thoughtful because the system always delivers. An employee then approaches to help him with the new plate registration, and our guy agrees to proceed, because why not? Upon seeing the plate, the manager is gobsmacked as it has the client's initials, and he's never seen anyone with so much pull because custom plates usually take time and connections. Our protagonist then tells the man not to overthink it, and that he just reserved the number in advance, which is a solid cover story. The manager praises our young man's incredible luck, saying the choice of plate was very meaningful and impressive, because flattery gets you everywhere. A mechanic then approaches the car and informs them that the new license plate installation is complete, because efficiency is key. Seeing the VIP treatment, the manager speculates that our guy must be related to some big-shot politician or tycoon, because that's the only explanation for such treatment. A few minutes later, the model walks up to our MC and thanks him for everything that happened during the day, because he basically made her career. The woman then invites him to dinner, saying she's about to get off work and that it's on her, because gratitude is best expressed with food. Our young man starts to reply, but his phone rings, and a smirk appears on his face because he knows drama is coming. Then our guy answers the call with a hello for the person on the other end of the line, because that's how phones work. On the other end of the line, his friend is crying his eyes out, saying he broke up with his girlfriend and needs to grab a drink with our guy, otherwise he's going to jump in the river in despair, because apparently breakups are that serious. Our MC is shocked by the news because that's heavy. All of a sudden, he gets a text from his buddy who just got dumped and wants to go drinking, because modern communication is redundant. Because of that, he ends up having to postpone his date. The girl agrees to reschedule, no problem. Arriving at the bar, our guy finds his green-haired friend drinking alone and teases him, asking if he was still planning on jumping in the river. The green-haired dude complains that he got totally played and feels awful because the girl he liked was just using him the whole time, which is a classic heartbreak story. He explains that when the other guy went to the restroom, she followed him, leaving him completely heartbroken. But our MC, already tired of all the drama, tells his friend to just get straight to the point and explain what really happened. The green-haired friend then confesses that he followed them both and saw them making out in the hallway, which completely crushed him. Our guy points out that they were never actually together, so there's no way he could be heartbroken, but his friend begs him not to be so harsh. With that, our guy tries to cheer his buddy up, saying the girl is no good, and that it's better to just let the other dude have her. He then reveals that he heard from a friend that the girl's personal life was a total mess, and that he had tried to warn him before. Our guy says he must have hit his head, and proposes a toast to forget the whole thing and drown their sorrows, because alcohol is the traditional remedy for heartbreak. An hour later, our protagonist helps his friend get a taxi, and the drunk buddy promises he'll have his back if he ever needs it. Right after, our young hero calls for a private driver on his phone to take him home in his new sports car. Just then, a woman walks up and tells him to get away from her boyfriend's car, because there's no way he could afford to pay for it if he scratched it, which is both rude and incorrect. Our guy just looks at the woman with a confident smirk, clearly amused by the situation and thinking about how to respond. The woman, realizing her mistake, asks why he looks so much like her boyfriend, which is the weakest excuse ever. He shoots back, "Well, you don't look much like my girlfriend," because he's quick with a comeback. She finds him funny and compliments his voice, saying he could probably drive that car with just one hand, which is either a compliment or a weird flex. The girl then makes a bolder move, asking our young man if he wants to have some fun with her because she's nothing if not direct. But our protagonist cuts her off, saying he's not interested and that he doesn't even have any classmates around. Suddenly, the streamer from before shows up and introduces herself as the driver he requested, because timing is everything. Her name is Kia Yin, and she's doing a live stream while she works. The viewers immediately recognize our guy from the auto show because he's becoming famous. Our guy jokes that she has to pay to take his picture and grabs her phone with a confident look because he's a tease. The streamer apologizes, saying she forgot and looks a little embarrassed because she got caught. She explains that she works as a driver at night and asks if she can film his car for her followers. The streamer gets super excited to show the car to her followers, talking about how fast the model is. The live stream chat starts blowing up with comments about the car's license plate and how lucky the streamer is to run into a rich guy like our hero. The first woman then offers to be his driver for free, trying to get another shot with our protagonist, but our young man turns down her offer, saying that free things usually aren't that great, because he's learned that lesson. He then asks the streamer if she actually knows how to drive a supercar. Handing her the keys, the girl assures him that she's driven plenty of sports cars since she used to be a car blogger, and the system displays her info with zero privacy. She asks if she can stream while driving, promising the camera will only focus on her, and he doesn't mind the broadcast. So our young man agrees, and they take off with the girl holding her phone to continue her live stream, because multitasking is a skill. The streamer tells her followers that she's super nervous and excited to be driving such an expensive car and that she needs to focus, because crashing a $9 million car would be bad. Our protagonist thinks to himself that if it weren't for the system's zero privacy value reveal, he would have thought she was pretty experienced. He then analyzes her stream and notices that despite her popularity, the donations are really low, finding the situation kind of sad. Looking at the numbers, he notes that her daily earnings are minimal, even with a lot of viewers, which doesn't add up. Our young man finds it strange that she makes so little with so many followers and suggests she should just focus on being a driver to earn more. The streamer explains that she's not good at asking for donations and can only make content by showing off cars in the city to entertain her audience. Curious, she asks why the manager at the auto show was so attentive to him, and our guy says it's because they saw him buying another expensive car earlier. The girl is shocked to learn that he bought the car that very day and looks at him with a mix of surprise and admiration. With that, she floors the accelerator, and the live chat goes absolutely wild at the display of our protagonist's power and wealth. Arriving at the destination, she hands back the keys and he compliments her driving, saying he'll call her again when he needs a ride. The streamer thanks him for the compliment and is visibly happy with his approval, seeming a little charmed by our young man, because who wouldn't be? She then asks what kind of streams he usually watches, and our guy replies with a smile that obviously he likes watching pretty women. With a hopeful expression, the streamer offers herself as an option and asks for a little support to help her climb the platform's rankings. Our young man jokes that he's never heard of a free donation account, leaving the streamer a bit embarrassed. So she suggests that he could invite her in for a glass of water, because that's a classic move. Realizing she's trying to use the situation for her stream, he decides to tease her a bit, asking what kind of water she has in mind, and the streamer gets completely flustered by his direct question, thinking how the situation feels like a scene straight out of a movie or a novel. With her face blushing and breaking a sweat, she's left speechless by our protagonist's boldness. The girl then realizes there are only two possibilities for what could happen next, and she's nervous. So he turns her down, saying the water at the hotel is kind of nasty, but promises to grab her a coffee next time they meet. The streamer is bummed out, wondering why he went cold on her all of a sudden, thinking maybe she's just not his type. Then our guy says his goodbyes, and her friendship level climbs to 60. He figures it'll be a piece of cake to ask her out later. Just then, he gets a text from an acquaintance wanting to do a fancy dinner. Back at his hotel, he tells the manager to whip up a feast for 5 people using only the most high-end ingredients, because why eat normal food? The manager lets him know that the fish he ordered costs about 1 million yuan each, and that's just for the medium-sized ones at the hotel. Our young man tells her to use some common sense, as he doesn't want to look like some tacky new money guy ordering 10 of those fish at once. Half an hour later, we get an outside shot of the villa where the dinner with his new acquaintances is about to go down. His guests arrive and are blown away by the feast, commenting on the 2 super rare fish on the table, because that's not something you see every day. One of the guys is floored, saying, "Those 2 fish are worth as much as a car," and wonders how they could possibly be so expensive. The manager then explains that the Chinese bahaba fish is one of the most expensive seafoods in the world, and on top of that, she mentions the Italian white truffles and reveals that the total cost of the meal is over 3 million yuan. At this, one of the female guests is stunned, saying that with that kind of money, you could buy a mansion back in her hometown, because perspective is everything. Our protagonist tells everyone to relax and dig in while the guests thank him for the evening. After dinner, a friend invites him out for drinks, but our hero turns him down since he'd already been drinking with a buddy at the bar earlier. The friend then schedules a party for the next night, and the group says their goodbyes, waving to the protagonist. With that, the manager approaches and informs him that the bill with a discount came out to almost 3 million yuan, which is a lot, but whatever. The system then congratulates him on a 149 million yuan rebate that's been deposited into his account, because the system loves giving money back. Our young man is shocked, thinking the dinner was totally worth it since he made a huge profit from the feast, because that's the best kind of dining. The woman confirms the payment and says her goodbyes, telling him to call if he needs anything at the hotel. Back in his room, our hero grabs his phone and hops on the streamer's live feed to check out her profile. Watching the stream, he notices the girl has a high attractiveness score, something he hadn't picked up on before because sometimes you miss things. Then the system gifts him 3 million coins, and his account on the platform levels up to 65. He decides to change his username to Dinghai Shenzhen and drops a comment in the pink-haired girl's live chat, because why not? The streamer is in shock seeing such a high-level account on her stream, having never seen anything like it. She welcomes him and explains there's a big guild battle happening that night. The popularity battle kicks off, and the girl faces off against another woman in a donation showdown on the stream. Our protagonist uses his system to analyze the opponent and discovers she has pretty low stats. He's confused by the rival's beauty score and thinks his friend should win this battle easily. The opponent then taunts the girl, saying she got lucky to run into her and that she's going to win with no effort. The girl laments her bad luck, saying she needs to win or she won't be able to make rent for her apartment. The rival then mocks her and tells her to ask her biggest supporter to go easy on her in the competition. With that, the system gives our hero a mission. Help the streamer win in exchange for a huge rebate because the system loves missions. The streamer then tries to be alluring and asks if her big supporter has any special requests for her because she's willing to work for it. Our young man blushes, thinking that now things might actually change between them because he's hopeful. She then asks her followers for donations to pay some medical fees and liven up the channel because that's a common streamer tactic. The girl rolls her eyes at her fans' comments who don't feel like spending money on her stream because fans can be cheap. She quickly changes her tone and praises her viewers, saying that everyone there is super talented because flattery works sometimes. The protagonist then decides to start the fund and resolves to donate 5 weak chickens to her because he's starting small. With a smile, the streamer thanks him for the donation towards the medical fees she asked for, but inside she's floored, thinking that such a powerful account was being stingy by donating only 1 yuan because expectations are high. The battle continues and the girl sighs in frustration, seeing her opponent is winning by a landslide because that's demoralizing. Just then, our hero sends 3 super rockets, which are the most expensive gifts on the platform because he's upping the game. The streamer's jaw drops when she receives the gift since each rocket costs 2,000 because that's serious money. She thanks him profusely and the scoreboard completely flips, leaving her opponent totally speechless because that's a comeback. The opponent is furious, wondering how such a powerful donor appeared out of nowhere to help her because that's not fair. The rival thanks the donor and asks him out, leaving the other streamer feeling awkward because that's a power move. Pink-haired girl starts singing a song way off key to cheer up her donor because she's trying her best. Our protagonist watches the whole thing with a smirk and tells her to do whatever she wants on the stream because he's enjoying the show. Meanwhile, her opponent is in tears, begging her top supporter not to lose the battle because she's invested. And with that, the battle between the 2 streamers finally kicks off for real on the platform. The opponent celebrates like crazy after getting 3 rockets at once and thanks her benefactor because she's back in the game. Seeing this, our hero finds it amusing and decides to send 3 more rockets to his friend because he's competitive. The rival then panics and warns her supporter that the other donor is catching up because she's nervous. With that, she gets 5 more rockets and thanks him profusely while the other girl looks defeated because momentum is everything. Our young guy gets a kick out of the situation and wonders what the pink-haired girl will do now because he's curious. The pink-haired streamer is so confused, she even asks if her stream froze from all the gifts because that's how overwhelmed she is. Suddenly, 20 rockets pop up all at once, leaving her completely stunned by the donation because that's insane. Her opponent just stares at her screen, speechless, wondering if the other girl's benefactor is even still there because that's a lot. The girl is floored when she realizes she got 20 rockets and might have just won the round because that's a game changer. The rival then appears looking all gloomy and humiliated after losing the battle in a landslide, because defeat is bitter. Her stream then surpasses 10,000 viewers, and the girl is blown away by the number of people watching, because that's a milestone. She thanks our young guy profusely and asks what he'd like her to do now on the broadcast, because she's ready to perform. Our hero thinks the beauty filter makes her look weird, so he asks her to turn the effect off, because nothing says mysterious donor like demanding to see someone's real face. This makes the girl nervous, and she says she might scare him off if she shows her real face, because we've all been there, worried our pores will send someone running for the hill. Even so, she decides to turn off the filter, already bracing herself for the nasty comments that are sure to follow, because the internet is a cruel place. When she turns off the effect, everyone is shocked by her real beauty and floods the chat with compliments, because apparently, she's been hiding her superpower behind a digital mask. She's surprised to get fans and praise instead of the hate she was expecting, which is probably the first time the internet has ever been nice to anyone. So she asks the donor for help to win 1 more round so she can keep streaming next month, because rent doesn't pay itself. And so, the second round of the battle begins, and her opponent is now a blonde girl with hair just like the main character from Sailor Moon, because apparently anime is a valid life choice. The new rival introduces herself and compliments the other girl's supporter, saying she's super jealous of him, because even streamers get jealous of other people's luck. Next, the blonde tries to flirt with the other girl's benefactor, inviting him over to her own stream, because when you see a whale, you cast your line. The battle then starts, and the pink-haired girl asks her supporter not to let her lose, because she's counting on it. The opponent gets 5 planes and 30 hearts from her donor and thanks him a ton, because that's a decent haul. Our young guy thinks that donation is weak, and decides to send 5 rockets just to mess with the other dude, because he's competitive like that. The pink-haired girl thanks him for the 5 rockets and says our young guy is a true god, because in the streaming world, that's the highest praise. The blonde is totally confused and calls out for her supporter, who just vanished into thin air, because nothing kills a streamer's vibe like a disappearing whale. With our young guy's support, the pink-haired girl easily makes it to the event's grand final, because that's what happens when you have a secret weapon. In the finals, she meets Dom, one of the platform's biggest streamers, who greets her like a final boss in a video game. The pink-haired girl is shocked to find out her opponent is one of the site's big 3, because that's like being in the championship match against a pro athlete. She says she doesn't have any talents, so her rival decides to kick things off with a little dance for her supporters, because when you're a top streamer, you perform. The opponent thinks to herself that she's already done her research and knows a mysterious donor has spent almost 800,000 because she's strategic. With that, the woman starts a pretty daring dance to impress the stream's audience. She continues her sultry performance near the microphone to heat things up, because why not go all out? 2 minutes later, the dance is over, and the streamer blows a kiss to the camera, full of confidence because she knows she killed it. Our hero watches and compliments the dance, saying it almost made him want to hop over to the rival's stream, because a good performance is a good performance. Seeing this, the pink-haired girl gets sad and asks if he's going to abandon her now, because she's emotionally invested. The MC smiles and jokes about the rival, calling him bro, saying that if it were a group activity, he might consider it, because he's cheeky like that. Suddenly, a suggestive thought bubble shows the two of them together, and the pink-haired girl looks surprised, because her mind went there. She gets all red and flustered at the group activity idea our young guy suggested, because that's not something you hear every day. The girl in pink thinks she's going to need some help to win, as the chat points out her opponent has already hit 800,000, so she begs our hero to save her, promising to learn any dance he wants to see, because desperation makes you bold. But her opponent receives 9 super rockets, and the streamer gets worried about the situation, because that's a lot. The girl thanks him for the 2 rockets, saying that without them, she wouldn't be able to pay her medical bills, because real life is expensive. Our hero sees the chat making fun of her and thinks the rockets he sent might as well have been birthday candles, and that this girl is a master of sarcasm, because she's quick with a comeback. He then remembers the system gave him millions, and that with his bank account, he can win this battle easily, because money solves everything. Suddenly, the girl in pink's stream seems to freeze with 20 rockets, and she wonders if her screen is bugging out again, because that's happened before. But she realizes it's not frozen. Our boy just sent another 20 super rockets, getting her all hyped up, because that's a game changer. Meanwhile, our guy is watching everything on his phone as the chat goes absolutely wild over the comeback, because the internet loves drama. The streamer gets emotional, thinking this is a battle of the gods and that mortals like her just get to enjoy the show, because she's humble. She then thanks her supporter for the help with her expenses and makes a heart with her hands to show her gratitude, because that's what streamers do. Just like that, the score completely flips, and now she's winning by a landslide while the chat just won't stop spamming, because victory is sweet. Her opponent is left exhausted and speechless, as she never in a million years expected to lose this battle. Looking at her phone, she realizes her rockets have stopped, but the other girls just keep pouring in non-stop. The rival streamer is shocked to see 1,500,000 in donations on the other channel, because she's never seen that much money in her entire life. She then begs her supporters not to stop and to keep sending donations, but one of her top donors gives up on the battle, saying it's better to save it for next time, leaving her completely stunned. Our hero then declares victory with 2 more rockets, and the battle finally comes to an end. The girl in pink celebrates her victory, and the chat starts buzzing about the mysterious donor who helped her. With that, she's so moved by the win that she takes a deep bow in gratitude for everything. She then offers him her contact info and promises to learn anything to please her benefactor. He turns down the offer, but she insists on being his driver. So our young man agrees and tells her where to meet him, because why not? So when the chat recognizes our hero as the guy from the car show, his secret is out. The streamer is shocked to discover the identity of her mysterious donor, and the chat confirms he owns a Ferrari. She wonders why he would help her, and her friendship level with him jumps to 85 as she picks up her phone. Our hero thinks that with the friendship level this high, he really has no choice but to accept her offer. The system then congratulates him on the victory and gives him a rebate of over 2 million yuan. With a satisfied smirk, our young man accepts the system's reward without a second thought. He reflects that after showing off and spending all that cash, he still turned a profit of millions, thinking to himself that winning is just too easy. The next day, he wakes up to a message from the streamer offering to be his driver. Our hero looks at the message and thinks that she sure is an early bird. Meanwhile, she confesses she was too anxious to sleep and wonders when he's going to reply. Brushing his teeth, he figures that since he's going to a club, he's actually going to need a driver, because drinking and driving don't mix. The streamer then celebrates excitedly because her master finally answered her message. She decides to get some sleep so she can be at her best for their meeting that night. But the young woman is so anxious she can't fall asleep and has to force herself to rest for later. At 8:00 p.m., he meets her and asks why she arrives so early, and she replies that it's her duty. She then tells him about the club, and he asks her to take him there to check the place out. Arriving there, two women comment on how handsome our hero is, and that his watch looks expensive. Our MC is the G after all, so it's expected. Inside the venue, a bunch of girls are checking him out, and one of them says she's going to make a move on him. Suddenly, a girl in a bunny costume stumbles and conveniently falls right into his arms. She apologizes and thanks him, and our young man thinks they're being pretty intense, considering he hasn't even made it past the entrance yet. Two other girls watch the scene and plot to take the MC to a private room to have some fun. The streamer watches from a distance as our hero gets surrounded by a crowd of beautiful women. Not knowing what to say, she feels a pang in her chest and decides she can't take this situation for one more second. With that, she pushes her way through the crowd and grabs our hero's hand. Then she announces to everyone that he's already taken, leaving the other girls completely stunned by her bold move. Just like that, the other women walk away disappointed, saying they'll just find another target at the party. He pulls her closer and asks, "Since when am I taken?" leaving the girl totally flustered. She explains that she just saw he couldn't turn them down and wanted to help so he wouldn't get any funny ideas. Our hero thanks her, but says that next time it won't be necessary, and that he was doing just fine on his own. At that moment, a friend of his shows up and asks if he wasn't spooked by the mob at the entrance. His buddy jokes that the first time he came, it wasn't this wild and asks who the lovely lady with him is. He introduces her as his driver, and the friend says there's no problem with her joining the party. The acquaintance then says the three of them are going to have a blast. The girl is left speechless and blushing beet red over the whole situation. The group then enters the party, and our hero strolls through the main room filled with lights and people dancing. Suddenly, a woman calls out young Master Jang, and the group stops to see who it is. It was a group of women who greet him, all calling him young Master Jang. With a smile, he waves back and says the party setup is perfect for their night out. The friend then asks the manager to bring 2 bottles of some expensive booze to get the party started. At this, the streamer is visibly impressed, commenting that she's only ever seen that drink in videos online. The MC jokes with his buddy, saying the drinks are nothing compared to the fish he had for dinner. The acquaintance then reveals to the girls that our hero's dinner cost a whopping 3 million. The ladies are completely floored by the absurd price of the meal and can't believe what they're hearing. Right after, a few waitresses in bunny outfits bring the drinks over to the group's table. The drinks are poured into their glasses, and the group's party finally gets going for real. A young woman named Zioking makes a toast with our hero, and the system takes the opportunity to analyze her stats. The MC is surprised by her high attributes, thinking to himself that she's a first-class rarity, and the two clink glasses and get ready to enjoy their night at the club. Seeing the scene unfold, the streamer once again feels that strange, tight, suffocating sensation in her chest. She gets jealous, wondering why her biggest donor is now with another woman, so she walks right up and offers a toast to our protagonist as well. Our hero offers the streamer a drink, telling her to have some to unwind after the long night. She refuses, saying she still has to drive, and he teases her, asking if she thinks she can still handle it. He leans in closer and asks if she wants a better look since she seems to be having trouble seeing. Our hero thinks to himself that his main objective for the night is the other girl, so he needs to brush the streamer aside for now. Just then, Zia Chung stands up and says she's going to go dance for a bit, but she'll be back later for a drink with him. The MC wraps his arm around the streamer and tells her to let him get a better look at her when he gets back. She gets all flustered, thinking that streamers are supposed to be demure and modest. With that, she shoves him away and asks if he thinks she's that kind of easy girl. He gets annoyed, thinking he spent millions on her and now she's playing hard to get. Our hero then stands up, leaving the streamer sitting there completely confused by his reaction. Seriously, folks, she must think our guy is some kind of fool because he's not. Then our boy looks over at the dance floor where Zioking and another young woman are pole dancing. Zioking dances sensually and then asks him what he thought of her performance. Another girl also approaches and asks for his opinion on her dance moves. Our hero compliments them both, saying it was incredibly energetic and that even his friend was applauding their performance. The girl in red gets closer to him and says she would really like to get to know him better. The girl in the red dress gets closer to our MC and says that just hearing him talk is getting her all fired up. The other girl scoots in closer too, and says he can't play favorites cause she's dying to get to know his friend too. With both girls on his arms, our MC thinks to himself that wherever you've got women, you've got a war. One of them asks what he does for fun, and the other chimes in that she'd rather just stay home and watch some movies. He feels like he's caught in the middle of a storm and has no idea how long his sanity will last, so he just says he likes the idea and that the three of them can watch a movie together later. 'cause hey, the more the merrier. The whole group makes a toast to our MC, and his buddy and Kyoin just watch as the girls praise his sense of humor. The blonde friend tries to toast with him, calling him bro. Meanwhile, Kyoin tries to cut in but can't get a word in. The two new girls get even closer to him, both saying they want to toast with him. Kyoin gets pretty salty and wonders if he's ignoring her just because she said she wasn't an easy girl. She keeps thinking that even though she's not easy, if he had actually proposed something serious, she would have considered it. Kyoin is fuming because she came ready for the night knowing something was supposed to go down. But since she's never done this before, she didn't know what to say or do, and she's bummed he didn't give her a little more time. He thinks to himself that the plan worked perfectly. Kyoin's score hit 90, reaching the exact limit he wanted. For the next 2 hours he drank and joked around with the two girls, not paying Kyoin any attention, not even for a second. And just like that, it was time to go. RMC's friend says his goodbyes while one of the girls says that next time they'll continue the party to watch that movie. From across the street, Kyoin waves from inside her car and yells, "Boss over here." He then opens the door to a taxi and puts both of the girls inside the vehicle. The two girls look totally confused inside the car, wondering what's happening. Our MC just flashes a smile at them, and they have no clue what's going on. With a grin on his face, he shuts the taxi door, leaving the two of them surprised inside. He hands a thick wad of cash to the driver and tells him to get the two girls home safely and keep the change, making sure they get there okay. The taxi then drives off, leaving him all alone in the middle of the street as he watches the car pull away. From inside the cab, the two girls scream his name, wondering what the heck is happening. He then walks over to Kyoin's car and asks what she's doing just sitting there, and if she's his designated driver. Half an hour later now in the hotel room, he questions the girl, wanting to know why she came into his room. Kyoin says it's already super late and it's dangerous to get a cab, then asks if she could maybe sleep there for the night. While wiring her money for a cab, he teases her, asking if she didn't just say she wasn't that type of easy girl. The streamer gets all flustered and says that was just something to say. He then tells her to call a cab and go home. Kyoin refuses to leave and gets closer to him in the room, saying she's not going anywhere. He then says it's fine if she doesn't go and tells her there are plenty of rooms there and she can pick whichever one she wants. The pink-haired girl asks if she can't just sleep with him since the bed is so big. He replies that he's not used to sleeping with strangers. The streamer then sits on the bed, thinking everything is going according to plan. She figures all it needs is one final little push and that if she doesn't make a move, he won't. We see their feet getting closer and it looks like it's going to be a long night. All of a sudden, Kyoin sits down on the floor and starts crying. He asks why she's crying and the girl asks if he hates her because everything was fine at first, but now that she wants to sleep with him, he's rejecting her. Our MC thinks that having a privacy stat of 0 has its downsides too, since the system only gives him numbers. He then tells her to forget it and come closer, but asks her to stop crying for now. Next thing you know, the two get real close and share a very special moment. 30 seconds later, things are only getting more intense. Holding his hand, Kyoin confesses her feelings and says she truly likes him. The story explains that she fell for him the moment she found out he was Donghua Shenzhen, her mysterious benefactor from the stream. She wonders what girl doesn't dream of a Prince Charming showing up to rescue her at her lowest point. With tears in her eyes, the streamer confesses her feelings once more. RMC then pulls her into a tight hug. He then picks her up in his arms and says he gets it, and that he won't kick her out, telling the girl to stay there for the night. The streamer lies down on the bed, looking ready for whatever comes next. Then RMC gets closer to her and the two start sharing all their love. And just like that, the two lovebirds spend an intense night together, complete with little angels and everything to celebrate the moment. The next day at an office, we see Soon walk into a room calling for manager Yu. Yu, sitting at her desk, recognizes her and asks what she's doing there. Right then, Soon asks if the manager knows our hero, and Yu confirms she met him on a trip. Yu then explains that she's getting ready to sign a contract with him, and that Soo-yoon shouldn't be in a rush. Soo-yoon is floored by this revelation, and asks if the manager is really going to quit her job. Yu confirms she's heading over to our hero's company, and that Soo-yoon will be the agency's very first artist. Hearing this, Soon questions if she really trusts him since our hero's company is brand new to the scene. Yu says she trusts our main character 100%. Soon is still confused, wondering to herself why the manager trusts the MC so much. Suddenly, an employee bursts in and announces that the front desk called about a surprise waiting downstairs. Yu immediately tells him to turn down whatever it is, saying she doesn't want to accept flowers or gifts from anyone. But the guy explains that the gift is a car and it's already been fully paid for, so they can't really refuse it. Both women are stunned by the news, and Soo-in suggests they go down and check it out. Arriving downstairs, they're greeted by a celebration with confetti flying everywhere. A saleswoman then asks you to step forward to unveil the special gift that's waiting for her. The saleswoman then reveals the present, a luxury pink sports car. Soon is blown away by the car, and says Yu is incredibly lucky to get such an amazing gift. At that moment, the employees start gossiping about the manager's new boyfriend and the 10 million yuan car. The saleswoman hands the keys to the new car over to the manager, who smiles completely satisfied. She asks who sent the gift, and the woman reveals it was our hero trying to win her over. He gets emotional, thinking that no man has ever treated her this well, and her affection level jumps to 99. Back with our MC, the system notifies him of her affection level and gives him a special reward package. The screen shows a reimbursement card with a limit of up to 500 million and another very interesting item. Our hero then imagines that with this new item, he could have a good time with several girls at once. He thinks the item is great, but he has to use it carefully since the outcome depends on their satisfaction. Then the system gives him another reward, an investment firm for him to manage. He looks over the requirements, an initial investment of 10 million and a minimum return of 10% per year, which is doable. With a smile, he decides to invest 500 million to get the new company started. The system confirms everything, and just then the streamer Kyoyin appears, asking if she woke him up. Our MC gives her a hug and thinks about testing the new card he got from the system on her right then and there. He then decides against using the card for now, saying it's better if they just chill for a bit first. An hour later, they're having breakfast, and the girl asks him to stop making donations on her stream. She explains that the platform takes a 70% cut, and that he's spent way too much on her. Our hero then asks if she'd prefer he just send the money directly to her. The girl is so surprised by his response that she does a full-on spit take all over the table. Embarrassed, she says he spent 2.5 million, and that she feels bad about him spending so much. The hotel manager overhears the conversation and is impressed by the amount he spent on the stream. He tells her not to worry about it, and she asks if she can keep doing her streams. He replies that he trusts her, and she can do whatever she wants as long as it's all good. Delighted, Kyoin decides to change her content to cooking and hunting for interesting stuff online. He encourages her to do what she loves and tells her to let him know if any other streamers give her trouble again. The manager approaches, and he asks to extend his stay at the hotel for 2 more months. Then our hero pulls out his credit card to pay for the new extended stay. The manager is shocked and questions if he really needs to stay in town for that long. At this, Kyoin reminds him that the daily rate is 80,000, not just 80. With a smirk, our hero says her boss wouldn't be too happy to hear she's turning away customers. The manager argues that spending 4,800,000 for 2 months is a waste if he's not actually going to be there. Kyoin eats a strawberry and finds it weird that the manager is so concerned about our hero. Curious about the situation, our MC decides to use the system to check her stats. The system screen shows that her beauty is at 90 and her friendship is at 80 with privacy at 0. The main character is shocked and wonders why her friendship level is already so high. The manager wonders if his look was strange and if she might have given herself away by being too forward with it. This gets her thinking about the other women around the main character, and she starts to feel a little insecure. And even knowing he already has 2 other women in his life, the more she gets to know him, the stronger the pull she feels. Arriving at our hero's room, she dismisses the housekeeper, saying she'll personally take care of everything in there. This urge to look after him seems to be something powerful, and she feels an impulse to do things for him, like she's been possessed by the spirit of a very attentive Victorian governess. She even finds herself wondering what she would do if our young man asked for something more from her in that moment. Meanwhile, the main character notices the manager's interest and finds the whole situation amusing, but he can't say anything. He then tells her not to worry and to just carry on as he doesn't like things getting complicated. The manager agrees to do as requested and turns to handle the details of the paperwork. As she's leaving, a coworker finds her and asks why she has such a serious and worried look on her face. The manager then smiles and says that actually the client is very easy to deal with and hasn't caused any trouble at all. Her friend then complains that everyone is jealous of her and that she'll probably be dead last on commissions again. She continues to lament, saying it's really hard to find a whale of a client like hers who books for an entire week. The manager then smiles with an air of satisfaction, while her colleague encourages her not to get discouraged. The friend then gets closer and says that since her reservation ends today, the 2 of them can go rest together in the dorm. The manager then brushes off her friend, saying she needs to find the general manager to sort out a client matter. Her colleague is completely shocked by the news and asks if he's really going to extend his stay for 2 months. At this, she calculates that the commission will be 240,000 and questions why on earth she would give him a discount. Manager Wang then explains that he mentioned he would be leaving in a few days, and she would have felt awful if she didn't help him out. With a grin, the friend asks if the week has worn her out and if the hotel client is handsome and charming. Wang gets all flushed, and her colleague notices, saying he sounds like a total catch for being rich and good-looking. Then the friend leans in and whispers a proposal where she would take care of the client and give the manager the entire commission. The manager tells her to get her head out of the clouds as he spends millions and can have anyone he wants, but the other woman insists. She sighs and wonders what our young Jang really thinks about her. Deep down, she then says goodbye to her colleague, telling her they need to talk later because she's off to find the general manager now. The The general manager is super excited by the news and says that a client of this caliber must be personally attended to by. 10 minutes later, our hero finds the bill a bit odd since a daily rate of 80,000 for 2 months should add up to a higher total. Then the system congratulates him for using the rebate card and informs him that he has received 380 million. Just then someone knocks on the door, and through the peephole he sees the general manager with 2 other people looking for him. The MC opens the door and the man introduces himself while handing over a business card, thanking him for his trust. The general manager informs him that because of Wang's discount, our hero will now have super VIP benefits and a permanent 20% discount. Our young man realizes it was a discount and thinks to himself that the manager's kindness almost cost him 100 million in rebate money. But he reflects that she was willing to cut into her own commission and thinks that the manager has the qualities of a good woman. The main character then shakes the general manager's hand, suggesting they be friends, and the man agrees on the spot. With that, the president asks Manager Wang to take very good care of his new friend and to treat his requests with the utmost priority. The general manager then takes his leave, saying he won't bother him any longer and hopes he enjoys his stay. Our hero watches Manager Wang, who seems a little nervous as she says her goodbyes. Back in the room, the streamer jumps into our hero's lap, saying she never wants to leave this place. Our young man then says he has things to do, but if she wants she can stay there by herself without him. She then complains that her friends invited her out and she canceled all her plans just to be with him. He then comforts her, saying he'll come find her as soon as he's free, and she seems to agree. 1 hour later, our hero is leaving and runs into you, who is waiting outside, waving at him. She then moves closer to thank him and gives him a very affectionate kiss on the cheek. Suddenly a man appears pointing and shouting at her, calling her a pretty offensive name. The man then threatens her, saying she'd better marry him or he'll throw himself into the river right in front of her. The main character asks you if she hadn't already sorted this situation out with her crazy ex-fiancé. She explains that the guy won't stop stalking her and even shows up at her office, but she didn't want to bother the MC with it. The ex-fiancé then gets angry and accuses the two of being a cheating couple, meeting up behind his back. Yu asks our hero not to pay attention to his nonsense and for them to just leave. The ex-fiancé then completely loses it, threatening to tell everyone everything and jump into the river, blaming them for what happens to him. With that, he lunges forward and grabs you by the arm, leaving her completely terrified by his actions. Seeing this, the main character steps in front of them and tells the aggressor to back off immediately, protecting you. Seeing his rival's audacity, our hero grabs him by the collar and asks if he's finally looking to get his butt kicked right then and there. He then calls over the security guards and with a smirk offers 5 million to each of them if they help him with his little payback scheme. Our protagonist explains that they should pretend the rival tried to jump into the river and then rescue him very, very slowly on purpose. The classmate starts to panic and asks if Jiang Chen is trying to hire hitmen in broad daylight. Totally lost, the security guards get confused and ask if our guy is joking around with such a crazy offer. Jiang Chen says he can pay up front and promises to get them the best lawyers if any of them end up in the slammer. The guards are tempted by the cash and figure that earning 10 million for a little jail time is a heck of a deal. The rival gets desperate and tries to warn them, saying that taking someone out is a super serious and unforgivable crime. The guy tries to back away in fear, but the guards yell at him to just jump in the river already so they can get the job over with. He then confronts our hero, betting he doesn't have the guts to do anything, but Jiang Chen just smirks at him with contempt. Our guy then offers 100,000 on the spot and tells them to rough the dude up until he's out cold on the ground. One of the guards pulls out his phone and is shocked to see that the promised money actually hit his bank account. With the money in hand, the security guards go after the rival, who doesn't even stand a chance against the thrashing that's coming his way. So the guards surround the guy and start laying into him, while our protagonist watches the whole show from a front row seat. Just then the stunning Yuxi shows up and asks Jiang Chen to just let it go, saying it's not worth starting a fight. Our hero tells her not to worry because he's going to settle things once and for all. 5 minutes later, the guards thank him and offer their services for any future jobs. Jiang Chen tells Yushi that he's going to take care of that Zhang Yu guy, and she agrees with him. At that moment, the system detects our guy's emotion and rewards him with a private security company. He's thrilled because with a professional team, dealing with idiots won't be a problem anymore. So our guy, all excited, asks the young woman to go check out some locations for their new company. The woman is surprised and asks if he really has the energy for that after all the chaos, but he replies that he's not going to let some nobody mess up his plans, and the two head out. Soon after, they arrive at a huge, imposing building, the World Financial Center. Once in the office, he says the place is perfect for launching the entertainment company. She agrees, saying that with a few changes, they can start operating right away. With a mischievous grin, our protagonist invites the blonde to sit with him for a bit. The young woman then goes to the window and closes the blinds, making the atmosphere much more intimate. After that, she approaches him in a very provocative way and kneels in front of him, and the two of them enjoy the moment alone in the new office, getting much, much closer. Our hero plays dumb and asks what she's doing since he only invited her to sit for a bit. The girl then calls him a goofball and says if he keeps up the act, she's not going to talk to him anymore. She turns the tables and asks if he'd prefer her to sit on top of him to solve the situation. Our protagonist, with a smile on his face, replies that she can do whatever makes her happiest in that moment. With that, things heat up even more. He pulls her closer, intensifying the moment between them. The blonde seems to be really enjoying the situation, savoring every second of that special moment. He returns to his villa and the manager greets him, asking if he'd like dinner or a bath. The woman seems to have other plans in mind. Jiang Chen decides to have dinner first and passes on the bath for now, leaving the manager a bit surprised by his choice. The young woman is a little disappointed as she had prepared some new tricks to make her service even better than last time. With no other choice, the manager serves dinner to our protagonist, who enjoys his meal peacefully. He then teases her, saying that today just wasn't her day to be so proactive, but that there's always a next time. The next day at a car event, he runs into his friend from the auction who greets him, surprised to see him there. Just then, another guy arrives with a stunning woman and greets the group who were chatting away. The blonde friend is stunned by the woman's beauty, commenting that her figure and body are like a movie star's. Our protagonist recognizes the woman as Zhou Ying and notices that she seems really sad to be there at the event. Suddenly, a creepy guy starts taking pictures of her from a low angle, and the woman gets super uncomfortable with the situation. The jerk even mocks her, saying that if she dresses like that, he can take whatever pictures he wants and there's nothing she can do about it. Our guy gets furious seeing this and the man's complete lack of respect for his childhood friend. So without a second thought, Jiang Chang charges the guy and lands a solid kick on him, sending his phone flying. In the middle of the negotiation, some guy stumbles in front of the car and hits the ground, yelling that his shot was ruined. With a smirk, Jiang Chang says the guy just slipped and offers to pay for his broken phone. But the aggressor ignores the offer and gets up furious, preparing to attack our hero right then and there. The man then lunges forward and tries to land a punch right in our protagonist's face without a second thought. Our boy smiles because according to the law, he now has the right to defend himself from the assault. He dodges the attack and lands a clean shot right on the other guy's chin, who never even saw it coming. The rival drops to the ground, completely knocked out, and our protagonist stands there victoriously over him. Jiang Chang then turns to the manager and asks him to call the police and save the security camera footage. The manager obeys and runs desperately to the phone, asking them to call security and the police. Our guy's new friends praise him for the punch, and he says the incident has scarred his view of the city. One of the buddies then comments that they're decent people and don't share the guy's weird kinks. Just then, the model approaches and asks if Jiang Chang is okay, and he says the important thing is that she's safe. His friends then comment that it's no wonder he got so mad since the whole thing was over her. Our hero then explains that the young woman is his old schoolmate and her name is Zhou Ying. He then introduces his friends, Wang Jiang and Chen Hao, to the girl who greets them. The girl then asks if he's there to look at cars again that day. Our guy says he's going to buy a gift for his dad and asks her out for later. With that, she accepts the invitation and says she'll call after work, so he decides to look around. A friend asks if he's eyeing a supercar and a salesperson immediately approaches. The salesperson says the price is $2 million and our hero asks about the delivery. The employee confirms nationwide delivery and says they also help with the vehicle registration. With a smile, our protagonist simply hands over his card to finalize the purchase. Jiang Cheng asks them to prepare a special delivery ceremony to surprise his father. His friends are shocked that he would call a supercar something low-key right in front of them. One of them comments that our hero is extravagant for buying so many expensive cars. The friend says he had to beg for a car while our hero is gifting one to his father. After paying, he calls the girl over to leave, thinking about how she's the prettiest girl from their school. In the car, he asks if she's going back to school now that the vacation is over. The girl talks about her family's bankruptcy and how she now needs to work to support herself. She says she doesn't care about gossip because earning her own money is more real. Our guy says a beautiful woman like her shouldn't have money problems, but she replies that nobody ever explains how to get it. She feels indebted to him for helping her twice and he laughs, thinking she seemed distant but is actually very down to earth. Our protagonist says it's all just food, so it makes no difference, and they speed off in the car through the city. They arrive at a restaurant that looks like a farmhouse for the get-together with their friends. When they arrive, their friends welcome them and invite them to sit at the table they've prepared. One of the buddies sees another guy arriving and gets annoyed, wondering who invited him to the party. He whispers that the guy's name is Wang Xing and he has some beef with their friend, so he suggests Jiang Cheng treat him well. Wang Yang greets the newcomer, who hates being called by a specific nickname and is accompanied by two girls. One of the guys tries to cool things down, saying they're there to make friends, but the other guy seems pretty ticked off. Everyone sits down at the table, which is loaded with food, and one of them compliments the main dish, suggesting they start drinking. Half an hour later, the rival boasts about getting a stock tip that's going to guarantee him a huge profit. The guy asks for help, and Wang Xing gives him a lecture about choosing friends wisely instead of picking freeloader. Chen Hao gets furious, realizing the rival's speech was a not-so-subtle jab at him and our hero. so he confronts the guy and calls in a 2 million debt from 2 years ago since he's so loaded with cash now. The friend loses his patience and stands up ready for a fight, questioning if the rival thinks he's special for being called by the nickname. Jiang Chang tries to calm his friend down, asking him not to ruin the party with unpleasantness. The rival gets annoyed by the interruption and slams his drink on the table, yelling about who gave him the right to speak. As he does, the drink goes flying and ends up staining the girl's entire blouse, scaring her. Our protagonist then comforts her and shoots a furious glare at the aggressor. Sitting at the table, the rival stands up furious and yells, asking what Wang Chang's problem is. One of the buddies questions if the guy only came to the event to start trouble. Another acquaintance thinks to himself that everyone's tune has changed, and now they're all defending Jiang Chang. He warns the guy not to make a scene since they're there for a mutual friends get-together. Landy gets ticked off and slams the table, fed up with hearing everyone gassing up the new guy. At that moment, our protagonist demands that he apologize for getting the model's outfit dirty. The young woman tries to defuse the situation, saying it's okay and that he doesn't need to worry about it. Blondie refuses to apologize and even calls him trash, trying to pick a fight. Without a second thought, Jiang Chen lands a solid slap right across the meddling Blondie's face. He quickly turns the guy into his personal punching bag and lands another slap on the other side for good measure. Our protagonist wonders if the guy really thinks he's some kind of pushover to be insulted like that. The aggressor is shocked by the pain and angrily asks how he dared to hit him. Jiang Chang sarcastically suggests he should probably see a neurologist after those slaps. Losing his mind, the blonde idiot grabs a chair to attack Jiang Chan as a friend yells for our boy to watch out. But our MC kicks the chair right back, sending it flying into the punk's face. One of the buddies tells the fallen aggressor that he brought this on himself and tells him to get lost. But the little punk gets up with some help and threatens Jiang Chang, saying this isn't over. Jiang Chang asks about the idiot's background and finds out his family is in the food business. With a smirk, he thinks he's about to see just how capable the rival's family really is. The model then asks if she caused any trouble, but he says it was nothing and invites her to leave with him. Jiang Chen says goodbye to his friends, mentioning they've had enough to drink and it's time to head out. The guys apologize for what happened, but he tells them not to worry about the formalities. Arriving at the car, he hands the key to the young woman and asks if she knows how to drive. She jokes she was a famous heiress and promises to get him to his destination safely. She mentions it's been a while since she's driven a supercar and that she'd love to open it up. With that, the car shoots off at high speed, and he's surprised to find out she's into racing. The young woman explains that her family was very strict and she never got the chance to race before. Jiang Chen promises to take her to a real race the next chance he gets. Once out of the car, she thanks him and says she'll always remember all his help. But it's getting late and he should get some rest, so she shyly says goodbye and hands back the key. He watches her leave and wonders why she ran off so suddenly, guessing it might have been out of shyness. But he decides not to dwell on it, as he needs to focus on the business he has to take care of. He remembers the security team the system gave him and decides to test their performance. Just then, he stumbles upon a bizarre news story online about pickled cabbage that smells like stinky feet. Lying in bed, our protagonist discovers that the food safety problems of Wang Xing's family have gone viral. A moment later, one of his friends calls to tell him that the rival's family's nasty products have been exposed. Jiang Chen confirms he's aware, adding that even their rotten raw materials were revealed. With suppliers pulling the products, the company's reputation was completely trashed. The friend remembers what our hero said the day before, recalling the words, "I'm going to see what that blonde idiot's family is really made of." Our boy comments shocked that the Wang family is going to take a massive loss because of this. The other guy agrees, saying he knew from the start that Jiang Cheng wasn't just some ordinary guy. Meanwhile, at the Wang family home, the rival's father is frantically on the phone trying to handle the crisis. The man hangs up furiously, wondering who could be trying to sabotage his business. His son approaches and asks his dad what happened to make him so worried. Just then the father notices his son's swollen face and angrily asks what kind of trouble he's gotten into now. The kid explains he got beat up by some arrogant country bumpkin and is already planning his revenge. The father then slaps his son and scolds him for doing nothing but stir up trouble all day like some gangster. Suddenly the father connects the dots, suspecting the fight has something to do with their company's problem. He then says in despair that the company lost 40% of its market share overnight. Meanwhile, the rival's dad is absolutely losing it at his son, screaming at the guy to fix this mess or he's divorcing his mom. The blonde dude refuses to listen, thinking it's way too humiliating to apologize, and actually tells his dad if you want a divorce, go for it, cause I ain't going there. His mom is totally shook by the answer and asks him what on earth he's talking about. Then she turns to her husband and suggests they just throw money at the problem like they usually do. That just makes the man even madder and he calls her foolish, revealing their entire fortune went down the drain overnight because of our hero. The dad storms out, yelling that if they don't fix this, he's hitting the road for good. Now the kid is panicking and asks his mom what they're supposed to do. His mom grabs him and insists he go beg our MC for forgiveness, telling him that without dad's wallet, they're both completely toast. Meanwhile, Jiang Chen is having breakfast while listening to a report. Wang Jian lets him know the Wang family has already lost 100 million in assets. Right after, the butler steps up and asks if he enjoyed his coffee. Our main guy smiles and compliments the meal, but then asks if she was the one who changed his clothes. Later on, Wang Yun watches the MC arrive with the actress soon, and she thinks she needs to step up her game to get his attention. Blushing a little, the butler looks determined to win over her boss. Inside the house, she offers Jiang Chen a drink to help him recover, but it looks like he dozed off on the couch, and she wonders if he's already fast asleep. Wang Jian decides the couch isn't the best spot for him and helps him get to bed. Smelling the party on him, she thinks it's better to change our hero's clothes. She takes this opportunity to put a little plan into action with him, thinking about using some of that knowledge she picked up from movies. So things get pretty intense between the two of them that night. The next morning she confirms she only changed his clothes and that nothing else happened. But Jiang Chen teases her, saying he dreamed about the two of them together in the room. The butler then offers to try out a new massage technique she learned just right after that. She suggests they should head to the bed to get started. Our main guy accepts with a smile and lets her take the light. In the room, she starts the massage, wondering if her technique is any good. Turns out her outfit is pretty daring, leaving our boy totally surprised. He's shocked by her confidence and tries to keep his cool. Even with the temptation, the MC uses all his willpower to keep it together. Finally, the butler asks in a teasing way how he's feeling. Jin Chening compliments her massage with a smile and says it was perfect. With that, the butler says she's going to switch positions to continue the service. She then adjusts herself on the bed in a way that's definitely sending our hero some signals. The girl looks a little shy about it, but she sticks to her bold game plan anyway. So he comments that the scene looks a whole lot like that dream he had earlier. From there, Wang Yo asks if he's down to go all the way with her. RMC answers with a yes, saying he's ready to do whatever she wants right now. That leads to them kissing intensely, and she playfully calls him a little naughty. The temperature rises in the room, and the butler seems to be really enjoying the situation, probably thinking her movie-inspired plan is working better than she ever imagined. Elsewhere, the auction rival rolls up to a hotel with a lady friend, thinking there's no way he'd ever apologize to a redneck like our main guy. However, when it's time to pay, the guy's credit card gets declined by the machine. The receptionist gives him an apologetic look and says the payment didn't go through. Annoyed, the dude thinks the machine is busted and hands over another card. But the lady lets him know that one has insufficient funds too, sending him into a total panic. The blonde guy starts spiraling, remembering he blew everything on a new car, realizing his dad froze the cards, and now he doesn't have a dime to his name. So he turns to his date and asks her to pay for the room, promising he'll wire transfer the money back to her later. But the girl slaps his hand away, furious at the whole mess, accusing him of being a broke loser trying to play rich just to trick her. Faced with that, the rival stands there completely shocked and speechless in the middle of the lobby, probably wishing the floor would swallow him whole. The guy then asks the receptionist if she wants to come up with him since the other girl left, which is either incredibly bold or incredibly stupid, probably both. Next, the rival calls his dad, yelling and asking why his card was suspended. His dad tells him to clean up his own mess because the family is on the brink of bankruptcy thanks to him. Realizing how serious the situation is, the blonde guy decides to look for his friends, Wang Yang and Chen Hao. He then calls the guys who pick up and ask what their brother Chang wants. However, his friends are at a pool party, and one of them questions why he's even asking for help. The rival swallows his pride and sends a message admitting he was wrong and begging for help. One of the friends is shocked by the apology, and the rival asks for help getting in touch with Jiang Chen. The friend named H. Wang says he can ask but can't promise anything, and the rival thanks him profusely. The other acquaintance asks if H. Wang is really going to help him since our hero has it out for him. H. Wang replies that even if our protagonist forgives him, the guy's family is already done for. Soon after, H. Wang calls someone and invites them to a club called TEX that night. Next, he's seen in a bathtub texting a girl and inviting her to come along too. Later at 7:03 in the evening, our protagonist arrives at the club and is greeted by the guys. The girl thinks to herself that everyone mistook her for Jiang Chang's girlfriend and she kind of liked it. The group is then welcomed into the club, and one of them asks what the plan is for the night. Our protagonist then orders 3 bottles of some top-shelf stuff along with snacks and fruit. The club manager approaches and asks if Jiang Chang needs a crew to liven up the party. However, one of the friends calls him out for being clueless since our boy brought his wifey along to have a good time. The manager realizes his mistake and apologizes, all flustered, saying he'll take care of everything immediately. Our hero's companion just watches the whole scene with a satisfied smile on her face. Right after that, the drinks arrive, brought over by 3 girls in bunny outfits. The young woman then whispers in his ear that she's curious to try the wine but can't since she's driving. He says it's no problem and that he'll grab a few bottles for her to enjoy at home later. With that, her friendship level with him increases, and she thinks he's different from other guys. Suddenly, the blonde rival shows up at the club and is stunned to see our protagonist sitting there. The girl gets confused by his arrival, but our hero tells her not to worry about it. The rival then bows, apologizing and begging for our guy to forgive him and leave his family alone. Our protagonist, however, says that he isn't the main person he owes an apology to. The rival is confused, so our hero tells him to think carefully about who he really needs to apologize to. Then, Jang Chang stands up and says he dirtied his friend's clothes and wants an apology for her. The blonde guy then remembers what happened and asks for forgiveness from the young woman with him. She, however, says it's all right and that he doesn't need to worry about what happened. With that, her friendship level increases again, and she thinks our hero genuinely cares about her feelings. The rival keeps begging for them both to forgive him and not hold a grudge anymore. Our protagonist then calls him a country bumpkin and reminds him how arrogant he was the night before. He then proposes that the guy smash 3 bottles over his own head to make things right. The guy is shocked and humiliated, as he never imagined the country bumpkin would come up with something like that. Our hero just stares him down with a serious look and asks what he's going to do about it. Without hesitating, the rival grabs a bottle and smashes it with all his might against his own head. From the impact, he collapses to the floor, all banged up amidst the shattered glass and spilled drinks. Our protagonist then claps sarcastically, thanking him for the unforgettable show. Friends watching are impressed by how ruthless the rival was to himself. Lying on the floor, a total mess, the rival thinks he's finally overcome that hurdle. The manager asks if he should call for medical help, but our hero just tells him to make sure the guy makes it out okay. The girl worries about the cops, but he says he never laid a hand on the rival and offers her some milk. With the problem solved, our protagonist grabs his drink and proposes a toast to everyone there. Meanwhile at the party, a girl in a bunny costume is thinking that if she'd known what she was getting into, she never would have messed with RMC. A guy with pink hair notices that even the city's top tough guys are afraid of Jang Chang's power. A moment later, our hero says goodbye to the model while she asks him to meet up alone next time. She goes on to say she knows he did all that just to make the other guy apologize to her. With a smile, Jang Chen promises that no more creeps will bother her again. The girl then says her goodbyes, telling him he's had too much to drink and needs to get some rest. RMC sends a message to call off the attacks against the H. Wang family. The reply comes back saying that Jung Yu is gathering dirt on him to file a lawsuit. At the same time, his contact reports that the rival is still harassing Miss Yushio Zayo every single day. Furious with the situation, he orders them to set a trap to get that piece of trash out of the country by the next day. Arriving at his room, Manager Wang welcomes our MC in a very suggestive way. He pulls her into a tight hug and asks why she's being so formal with it. The girl gets flustered, saying someone might see them, but he reminds her of what she said earlier. He keeps holding her and suggests they get inside quickly so no one spots them from the outside. Once inside the room, Jang Chen suggests that this time they could have some fun on the couch. We see Jang Yu at a bar with a friend ordering a drink called the Blue Demon. That's when he notices that 9 out of 10 guys there are looking for another guy at that bar. Just then, a voice message from his friend reveals that his partner left him for another dude. Faced with this news, the bartender arrives with the drink the guy with the glasses had ordered. At this point, Jung Yu approaches him and offers to buy him a drink to soothe the guy's broken heart. With a sad look, the man in glasses wonders how someone like him could ever find true love. Jung Yu then assures him that love does exist and introduces himself to the heartbroken guy. In response, the man introduces himself as Lai Min-hing and offers to listen to his new acquaintance's problem. The guy then vents for 1.5 hours, and Jang Yu comforts him throughout the entire conversation. Grateful, Lai Min-heng says he has to go because he has a flight to catch, and the other asks where to. He explains he's going to Thailand on a trip he was supposed to take with his ex as a final farewell. With that, Li Min-hing says his goodbyes and leaves, leaving Jang Yu alone at the bar thinking. Without wasting a second, he pulls out his phone and buys a ticket for the same flight to Thailand. He then plans for a chance encounter on the plane to get closer to the heartbroken guy. The next day at the airport, our MC Jang Chang is walking through the terminal sporting a different look. A moment later, a man in a suit introduces himself as Wang Shen, and the system shows his absolute loyalty to our hero. Jang Chang asks where Jung Yu is, and his new henchman says the guy is already at the hotel waiting for him. Arriving on site, our MC is greeted by his security team who have already set everything up. Inside the room, we see Jang Yu tied up and passed out, while Jang Chen orders his team to wake him up. Without a second thought, one of the guards throws a bucket of cold water in the guy's face to snap him out of it. The rival wakes up soaking wet, and with a sly grin comments that he's into this kind of rough play. At this, our MC questions him about why he's still obsessed with Yushio Zae. Upon seeing our hero, the guy is shocked and asks what he's doing there and what he wants with him. Losing his patience, our MC kicks the chair hard, knocking his rival to the floor without a shred of mercy. He then steps on his fallen rival and reminds him that the next time they met, he would shut him up for good. Desperate, the guy begs him not to do anything reckless because taking someone's life is against the law. With a cruel smile, Jang Chang says that in Thailand, people accidentally overdose every single day. The rival panics and swears he'll never bother Yushio Zayo or anyone else again, begging for his life. With that, our hero orders Wang Sheng to take all the guy's money, his phone, and his documents, leaving him with absolutely nothing. He challenges him to get back from Thailand with nothing, and and if he manages it, he'll consider it fate and leave him alone. And so the rival is left in nothing but his underwear, shivering from the cold, while a girl records the whole thing on her phone. Walking away from there, our MC remembers he still hasn't signed for the stocks he got from the system and decides to head to Henshin Co. to take care of it. Right after that, a guy walks up to Jang Chang and introduces himself as Mario, a total big-shot shareholder from the Henshin company. Our main man shakes his hand, and this new acquaintance invites him to his office so they can talk business properly. Once they're inside, Mario hands over the contract, and the system does its thing, analyzing the guy and showing his friendship status with our MC. Since they have a total ride-or-die bond according to the system, Jang Chang doesn't sweat it and signs the papers for his 20% stake. After the business is done, Mario invites him to check out the local nightlife, but our guy turns him down, saying he's already got other plans for later. So Mario says his goodbyes and tells the kid to give him a buzz if he ever needs anything down the road. Back in the car, our MC tells the driver to take him for a spin around the city so he can get a feel for the place. They end up at a night market, and Jang Chang starts diving into the local street food scene. While he's enjoying his snacks, he hears a little girl crying for her mom and notices she's in a tight spot because of some shady-looking character. He doesn't waste a second and orders his bodyguard, Wang Shang, to go save the little girl immediately. Without hesitating, his bodyguard charges at the guy and takes him down with a perfectly aimed kick to protect the kid. The bodyguard keeps the troublemaker pinned to the ground while the little girl watches the whole thing, looking completely spooked by the chaos. Our guy walks over to the kid, asks for her name, and tries to find out where her parents are at that moment. The little girl named Annie thanks him and says she ran away from her mom because she really wanted some raw marinated octopus, but her mom said no. Because of that, he asks if she remembers her mom's phone number so they can get in touch with her. Our MC pulls out his phone, and the little girl taps in the number so he can give her mom a call. A moment later, Annie's mom shows up and gives the girl a piece of her mind for running off, which makes the little one start crying and saying she's sorry. Seeing her daughter in tears, the woman softens up and comforts her, saying she's not going to get in trouble and telling her to stop the waterworks. The mom introduces herself as Anjin and thanks him for the help, but our MC warns her that she needs to keep a closer eye on things. And Anjin agrees and thanks him for the wake-up call, saying she'll be way more careful from now on. Then little Annie steps up and begs Jang Chang not to blame her mom, saying it was all her fault for being a brat and not listening. Our guy just smiles at the girl and tells her to listen to her mom and not throw any more tantrums in the future. Seeing how things played out, the mom offers him a ride home and invites him to dinner as a way to say thanks. Jen Cheng turns down the offer, saying he's pretty busy, but she insists and asks where he's from. She's thrilled to find out he's also from Chengdu and asks for his contact info while the system pulls up all her details. They swap numbers and say their goodbyes with little Annie waving goodbye to our MC. As they're walking away, and Jin's bodyguard asks if he should dig into Jang Chang's background, but she shuts it down immediately. She explains that it's better not to go snooping behind people's backs, especially since he clearly isn't just some average Joe. The next night our guy gets home and his parents greet him, asking about all the stuff he bought. Jang Chang hands over a pricey watch to his dad, who calls him a smart aleck for flexing his money like that. Right after Jang Chang gives his mom a luxury handbag, and she's absolutely over the moon with the gift. She praises her son's great taste, saying the bag is gorgeous and way better than any of the stuff his father ever buys. The dad tries to take some credit, saying the kid got his good taste from him, and then asks how much the watch actually cost. Our guy tells a little white lie, saying it was 100,000 because his dad would probably flip his lid if he knew the actual price. His mom tries to play matchmaker and set him up on a date, but Jang Chen turns her down and says he's heading back out to the city. His parents watch him leave, feeling all proud about how much he's matured and how fast he's grown up. The mom, however, gives the dad a hard time for his lame comment that totally ruined the vibe of the moment. Once he's out on the street, our MC sees a huge crowd gathered around a seriously beautiful girl. He hears the name Zhou Ying and stops to look, wondering if she's actually who he thinks she is. A guy named Wang Yuan is down on one knee, pouring his heart out to Zhou Ying right in front of everyone. The people standing around are buzzing about the expensive necklace and how romantic the proposal is, mostly because of the price tag. Zhou Ying shuts him down and tells him to quit it, but the guy won't take no for an answer and pulls out a diamond ring. The girl gets ticked off by his persistence and threatens to walk away if he doesn't stop making a scene. Because of that, the guy snaps his fingers and calls in some backup for his crazy plan. Suddenly, a bunch of people show up with signs and flowers, putting pressure on the girl to just say yes. Seeing the drama unfold, the system triggers a special mission for Jang Chang with two choices: be a spectator and earn some fruit. Jang Chang chose option 2, and the system is practically begging him to spend money with a spending multiplier card. But instead of pulling out his wallet first, our boy does something nobody expects. He walks over and starts picking wild flowers from a nearby planter like a budget florist with zero overhead. Meanwhile, Wang Yan is still down on one knee with his expensive bouquet and ring, completely unaware that someone is about to make him look like a fool. Keep your eyes on this moment because the next few panels are about to be genuinely historic. Zhang Cheng walks straight up to Zhao Ying with a single wild flower and says, "Hey, beautiful. If you're not into roses, maybe these are more your style." The crowd goes absolutely ballistic. People are screaming that someone is trying to steal the girl, while others are roasting his wilted weeds compared to Wang Yan's expensive bouquet. The disrespect is immeasurable, and the audacity is off the charts. Wang Yan starts clowning on him immediately, waving that ring around saying, "Buddy, picking up girls costs money. You can't even afford a bouquet and you're trying to play interceptor." Even the bystanders are piling on, saying one guy has a luxury car and money, while the other is being a cheapskate with roadside garbage. Everybody in this crowd has already written Zhang Cheng off, which is exactly where you want them before the reversal hits. Wang Yan doubles down and tells Zhao Ying to just give in already. Stop resisting. He'll take her to buy a diamond ring right now. This man genuinely thinks persistence and pressure are the same thing as attraction. But Zhao Ying takes Zhang Cheng's little wildflower, smiles and says she actually likes these. And in that one moment, every single yuan Wang Yan spent becomes absolutely worthless. A free flower just beat a designer necklace. This might be the most satisfying rejection in the entire series. Wang Yan has little question marks floating over his head. The crowd is losing their minds because this girl just picked wildflowers over luxury. Someone in the back says she must be a masochist for choosing to cry on a bicycle instead of laugh in a supercar. And the chemistry between these two right now is nuclear. Zhang Cheng casually mentions he handpicked the colors just for her, and Zhao Ying is melting, saying she truly loves them. This man weaponized a roadside daisy, and it's working better than a diamond ring. Wang Yan tries to give her one more chance, insisting she must have been lying, but Zhao Ying shuts him down cold, saying she doesn't need him to give her anything. The entitlement in thinking you're the one granting chances when you're clearly losing is genuinely delusional. Zhang Cheng puts a hand on Wang Yan's shoulder and delivers the most condescending advice possible. "She's told you plenty of times. Take the hint. Be a man about it. There are plenty of fish in the sea." The patronizing energy from a guy who just showed up with free flowers is devastating. Wang Yan completely snaps and starts screaming that Zhang Cheng should leave right now because he can't give Zhao Ying happiness. And the argument shifts from romance to finances. The ego has taken full control of the cockpit. Zhang Cheng coolly asks, "How do you know I can't?" And Wang Yan fires back, asking if he even knows how much her monthly living expenses used to be. He's trying to flex financially, which is basically bringing a water pistol to a naval battle when you're up against Zhang Cheng's wallet. Wang Yan pushes his hair back and brags about covering 50,000 a month in pocket money. He even throws in that her family is struggling now, as if publicly exposing someone's financial hardship is a romantic strategy. And then he keeps going. Can you drive her in a luxury car? Can you buy her necklaces? Can you buy her 99 roses? He's literally running through a shopping list like love is an Amazon checkout. Someone should tell him feelings aren't a subscription service. But instead of responding to Wang Yan, Zhang Cheng turns to Zhao Ying and asks if she likes those things. She gives possibly the smoothest answer in this manhwa so far. She says she does, but it depends on who's giving them. And when Zhang Cheng asks what if he was the one giving them, she turns around looking absolutely unreal and says, then of course she'd like them. Wang Yan is losing it now. He accuses Zhang Cheng of living in an idle drama, then straight up offers him 100,000 to walk away. This man really just tried to buy off the guy. Has more money than some small countries. Zhang Cheng just smirks, and Wang Yan gets even angrier, asking if he's been watching too many short dramas and demanding to know if he even understands how much his car costs. Meanwhile, there's a very particular white car sitting behind them that's about to change this entire conversation. And that's when the timing gods deliver a miracle. A store employee comes running out calling him Mr. Zhang, saying he left behind a belt from his shopping trip. He's carrying a Chanel bag and standing right next to his Porsche. The universe chose violence against Wang Yan today. Zhang Cheng doesn't even turn around. He just casually says, "Oh, just put it in that car over there," like a man who has never once worried about where his car is parked because he knows exactly what kind of statement it makes. The crowd erupts. That's a Porsche 918. People are screaming that it's 10 times more expensive than Wang Yan's car. Hierarchy of luxury vehicles has spoken, and Wang Yan is no longer in the conversation. Zhang Cheng leans in with a grin and asks, "So, buddy, is my car all right?" And Wang Yan can barely stammer out that it's pretty nice. The man who was bragging about his ride 30 seconds ago just got reduced to a stuttering wreck. Wang Yan is internally crumbling, realizing he's turned himself into a public clown. And Zhang Cheng just takes Zhao Ying by the hand and says, "Let's go." That might be the coldest walk-off in this entire manhwa. As they walk away together, Zhao Ying starts explaining the situation. Wang Yan is the son of her mom's friend, and she's never had any romantic feelings for him. The fact that she felt the need to clarify this tells you she wants Zhang Cheng to know she's available. They settle into a cafe, and Zhao Ying thanks him for today, saying he's still as playful as he was in school. And Zhang Cheng is genuinely caught off guard. He's thinking, wait, the school goddess actually noticed me back then. The man who now has women falling into his orbit everywhere can't believe the original crush was aware he existed. Zhao Ying opens up about her past, saying her family was very strict and she never really hung out with classmates. She calls herself a transparent person back then, someone nobody really saw. The backstory is humanizing her in ways the system's stats never could. Zhang Cheng immediately shuts that down. He tells her she was far from transparent, that even if she was just breathing, she had the most presence in the entire school. This man's smooth talk stat must be maxed out. She says she never felt that popular since hardly anyone pursued her, and he explains that because everyone felt they weren't good enough, which is probably true, but also a very convenient way to reframe his own past cowardice as collective wisdom. Then she leans in with this look that could melt steel and asks, "Is that so? And what about you?" She's directly asking if he liked her too. The flirting has moved from subtext to barely disguised interrogation, and the tension is suffocating. Jiang Cheng dodges by saying he went to school to study, not to date. But Zhao Ying isn't letting him off that easy and immediately asks about Xiao Jia. She did her homework on his past relationships, which means she's been paying way more attention than she lets on. He casually mentions they only really chatted on WeChat and they've already broken up. The speed at which he downplayed that entire relationship was surgical. He's making sure Zhao Ying knows the runway is completely clear. Zhao Ying sighs and says she wishes she could turn back time to redo school and hang out with everyone. Her friendship value is sitting at 78. She's warming up to him for real, and this isn't the kind of warmth money can buy. This one is earned the old-fashioned way. Jiang Cheng is running internal calculations, noting her friendship value is only at 78 and rising painfully slow. He realizes money doesn't move the needle much with someone like Zhao Ying. She's genuinely harder to win over, which ironically makes her more interesting to him. And right on cue, the system drops a limited-time mission. Option 1. Buy Zhao Ying a gift and get 5 shopping rebate cards worth up to 500,000 each. Option 2. Walk away and receive 1 Iron Rooster figurine worth less than $10. The system really knows how to make the right choice obvious. Jiang Cheng doesn't hesitate for a single second. The system is basically paying him to take a girl jewelry. Shopping, he's thinking this is less of a mission and more of a cheat code for dating. So he grabs Zhao Ying's hand and walks her right into what appears to be a Cartier store. No warning, no build-up, just a direct escort into 6-figure territory. And Zhao Ying's brain has completely short-circuited. She's internally screaming that Jiang Cheng is holding her hand. Not the jewelry, not the store. The hand-holding is what broke her. The priorities tell you everything about where her heart is heading. The sales associate greets them, and Jiang Cheng doesn't browse, doesn't compare, just points at the poster display and says, "Show me that one." Shopping with him is like watching someone speedrun a mall. The associate pulls out the Panther collection piece, a necklace set with a sardonyx garnet and 19 brilliant cut diamonds. She's describing it like a museum exhibit, but Jiang Cheng is looking at it like it's a keychain he's about to impulse buy. He turns to Zhao Ying and asks, "Do you like it?" And she's genuinely flustered, asking if he's really asking her opinion on a piece of jewelry that probably costs more than her apartment. He reminds her she said she'd like whatever he gave her. She tries to backpedal, saying she was only joking because of the situation earlier, but Jiang Cheng hits her with, "I'm not joking, I'm being very serious." The man locked onto that promise and is refusing to let go. Zhao Ying tries to pump the brakes, saying their relationship hasn't reached the gift-giving stage, but Jiang Cheng casually says, "This is just a small thing between classmates, no different from a keychain or a sticker." A diamond necklace is a sticker now. The man has lost all sense of normal pricing. And then we get the close-up of Zhao Ying wearing that necklace. The way the gold sits against her skin, the way her hair falls over it, the artist knew exactly what they were doing. She's checking herself in the mirror, and even she can't deny it looks incredible. Jiang Cheng tells her it suits her perfectly, then turns to the staff and says, "Wrap it up, along with the watch and everything else." This man just said, "Give me the whole display case." Zhao Ying immediately protests that this is too much, and when the sales associate nervously announces the total comes to 1 million, the room gets very quiet. Everyone is waiting to see if this guy is actually going to follow through. Jiang Cheng just looks at the staff and says one word, "Wrap." The associate immediately starts wrapping everything because that level of nonchalance about $1 million purchase is not something you question. The staff are gossiping while wrapping everything up. One says, "$1 million looks like pocket change to this guy." Another says she's jealous because he picks the expensive stuff happily while the girl looks reluctant. Jiang Cheng has turned jewelry shopping into a spectator sport. Later that night, Jiang Cheng walks Zhao Ying home. He notices the building has no elevator. Zhao Ying explains this apartment is all that's left from her dad's time. Everything else was mortgaged away. A girl with 93 beauty living in a walk-up apartment with mounting family debt. The contrast between her world and Jiang Cheng's is staggering. She tells him her mom is upstairs, so there's no need to walk her up. He smoothly accepts and says, "Next time." Way he already assumes there will be a next time is either supreme confidence or manifest destiny in action. And the second Zhao Ying walks through the door carrying luxury shopping bags, her mom immediately assumes the date with Wang Yan went well. Oh, this is about to become a very uncomfortable conversation very quickly. Zhao Ying immediately corrects her. She doesn't like Wang Yan. It wasn't a date with Wang Yan, and these gifts aren't from Wang Yan. 3 denials in one breath. The girl came in hot with the disclaimers because she knew exactly what her mom was thinking, and now the real pressure comes out. Her mom reveals that her father passed away, leaving massive debt. They're constantly on the run from creditors, and the Wang family has offered to clear the debt if Zhao Ying marries Wang Yan. So this isn't just a matchmaking attempt. It's a financial rescue plan disguised as romance. Mom admits she doesn't even like Wang Yan either, but says the two families know each other well enough that she's at ease with the arrangement. She's not selling her daughter out of cruelty. She's doing it out of desperation, and that makes the whole situation infinitely sadder. Zhao Ying fights back, saying she's been looking for a job and she'll figure something out. She starts to bring up something about Wang Yan's past behavior, but the look on her face tells you whatever she knows about him is ugly enough to stop a wedding. Her mom fires back, asking how long it would take working to pay off millions in debt. She even acknowledges Wang Yan isn't a good person but says he's promised to change. A mother knowingly pushing her daughter toward a bad man because the debt is that crushing. This family needs Jiang Chang's system more than he does. Zhao Ying firmly says she won't be with Wang Yi. Before the argument can continue, her mom suddenly notices something new. Her eyes lock onto something around her daughter's neck, and the interrogation is about to shift targets entirely. Mom spots the Cartier necklace and goes full detective mode. Classmate gave you that. What's your relationship? Did you reject Wang Yan because of this other guy? The cross-examination is brutal and honestly pretty fair because no regular classmate drops that kind of money. Zhao Ying insists they're just ordinary classmates who happen to run into each other and had dinner. The blush on her face is telling a completely different story than her words, and her mom is absolutely not buying it. Her mom pushes harder, saying, no regular classmate casually gives gifts this expensive after one meal. Then she trails off with the implication that maybe they've already done something more. The mom went from zero to worst-case scenario in record time. Zhao Ying scrambles, saying her classmate is extremely wealthy and these things are probably worthless to him. But her mom cuts right through the defense and asks point blank, do you like him? And is it because he's rich? And Zhao Ying snaps. She tells her mother that even if she ends up with him, it will never be for money. Rich or poor, if she likes him regardless. That level of conviction about a guy she still calls a classmate tells you she's already way past the friend zone internally. Her mom fires back with the oldest argument in the book. What's the use of love? Can it fill your stomach? She says she's doing this for Zhao Ying's own good because the family can barely survive. The next day, Jiang Chang is at home grabbing milk from the fridge when his phone rings. It's little Annie calling to say hi. This kid apparently saved his number and is using it with zero hesitation. She gets on the line and explains that tomorrow is Annie's birthday and the little girl wants Jiang Chang there to celebrate. She's apologetic about it, but honestly, when a kid that cute asks you for anything, saying no isn't really an option, and the system immediately turns this into a mission. Option 1, agree to play with Annie and unlock the affectionate eyes skill. Option 2, refuse and receive 2 bad luck cards. The system is literally bribing him to be a good person, which is the most entertaining moral alignment mechanic ever. Jiang Chang agrees without hesitation, saying he'll be there as long as Annie is happy on her birthday. Next day arrives and little Annie comes sprinting toward him screaming, "Brother Jiang Chang." And Angson is right behind her, looking like she walked straight off a runway in that black outfit. He tells Annie happy birthday and offers to buy her a present, but she has to promise to be a good girl today. Angson immediately tries to stop him from spending anything, reminding Annie that she said just being with Brother Jiang Chang was enough. This woman is trying to protect his wallet while her daughter is actively emptying it with weaponized cuteness. But Annie delivers what might be the most dangerous sentence a child has ever uttered. She says she only wants Jiang Chang's gift because she likes him and then asks, "Don't you like Jiang Chang too, mommy?" This kid just activated a thermonuclear matchmaking device in the middle of a shopping district, and she doesn't stop there. Annie cheerfully reveals that her mom talks about Jiang Chang to grandpa all the time and gets really happy whenever he comes up. Angson is desperately trying to shut this down, but her daughter has become an unstoppable intelligence leak. Angson immediately does damage control, saying she only mentioned Jiang Chang and Annie to her father, and please don't get the wrong idea. The blush on her face is telling a very different story. Remember how her privacy value is 0. The mystery around this woman just keeps deepening. Jiang Chang just smiles and tells her it's all right, calling her sister Angson. The gentleness in his voice is the exact kind of thing that makes women forget they were embarrassed 3 seconds ago. And they're off running to buy a birthday present, with Annie leading the charge and Angson chasing behind them. 3 of them together genuinely look like they belong on a family portrait, and Angson is standing there with both hands on her blushing face, completely overwhelmed. This woman who has bodyguards and apparently runs a company has been emotionally dismantled by one nice guy being kind to her kid. They end up at what looks like a prize game area, with Angson holding a teddy bear and Annie clutching another one. A bystander literally says, "This family is so happy." They've been mistaken for an actual family, and honestly they look more convincing than most real ones. The crowd around them is gushing that all 3 are incredibly good looking. One girl literally says she wants to have babies now, but only if her husband is as handsome as that guy. Jiang Chang is accidentally raising birth rate aspirations just by existing in public. As the day wraps up, Angson thanks Jiang Chang for everything, especially the birthday gift. What none of them realize is that someone very important has been watching this entire scene unfold, because Jiang Chang's dad, Jiang Jiaming, is right there in the crowd, and what he sees is his son holding a child, standing next to a gorgeous woman, looking exactly like a young father with his family. The bottom of this man's stomach just dropped to the earth's core. Jiang Jiaming adjusts his glasses and squints harder, as if changing the focus will somehow change what he's looking at. His colleague hasn't noticed anything yet, but this man's entire worldview is currently experiencing server errors, and then his brain starts doing math. That child looks about 4 or 5 years old. If his son was the father, that would mean Jiang Chang was dating this woman back in middle school. The man is speedrunning into a panic attack based on entirely wrong arithmetic, and now his imagination kicks in, producing a fully rendered fantasy of his teenage son in a romantic scenario. Dad's mind palace is creating content that would get flagged on most platforms, and he did it to himself. But then he snaps out of it and goes into full denial mode. He insists his son only cared about watching cartoons back then and would never have done something like that. The Jiang family upbringing wouldn't allow it. He's clinging to this belief like a life raft in a tsunami of circumstantial evidence. His thoughts spiral even further. Could that woman have seduced his innocent son? Then he admits her clothing and demeanor suggest she's classy. So now he's genuinely confused because none of the scenarios he's imagining actually make logical sense. This internal monologue is peak comedy. His colleague finally notices he's been standing there frozen and asks what he's staring at. Jiang Jiaming is about to either have to explain this or pretend nothing happened, and neither option is great for his blood pressure. But before he can respond, his colleague spots Angxin and calls out to her. The name he uses tells you this isn't some random woman. She's apparently someone this business associate knows personally. Angxin turns around and the colleague addresses her formally, asking if she's having dinner. She casually says she came here with her daughter. The colleague is treating her with obvious respect, which means she's not just wealthy, she's connected. Jiang Chang turns around with a look of genuine surprise. The fact that his dad is standing right there at the same place on the same night is the kind of coincidence that only happens in manhwa and extremely poorly planned family outings. Father and son lock eyes. Jiang Chang asks what his dad is doing here, and his dad says he was discussing a project. The tension of being caught playing family with a beautiful woman and her child in front of your own. Father, Jiang Chang casually explains he was just playing with them. Dad looks even more confused because playing with a beautiful woman and her kid is exactly the kind of understatement that raises more questions than it answers. And then Angxin steps forward and introduces herself to his father with perfect composure. She says she's heard Jiang Chang mention him often and promises to bring Annie to visit sometime. She's calling herself by first name, addressing him as uncle, and already scheduling family visits. The dad's brain is shutting down in real time. Jiang Jiaming's mind is reeling. His son talks about him to this woman. She wants to visit their home. Every piece of information is confirming his worst theory while simultaneously making zero actual sense. His colleague beside him is equally stunned. And now Jiang Jiaming has entered full protective father mode. He's internally declaring that if this is what he thinks it is, he will do everything in his power to prevent this woman from getting closer to his son. The man is preparing for war against a relationship that doesn't even technically exist yet. But then his colleague grabs his arm and says, "Mr. Jiang, since you know CEO Angxin, this project is definitely yours now." Wait, CEO Angxin? Angxin isn't just some random single mother. She's a CEO. The business colleague is now using her connection to Jiang Chang as leverage for deals. The plot just thickened by about 17 layers. Jiang Jiaming stands there, glasses gleaming in the night, wondering who exactly that woman is and whether his son is really involved with her. He came here to discuss a project and left with an existential crisis. Something tells me the Jiang family dinner table is about to become a war zone. See you in the next